Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Beast Girl, starting with a contract with the school beauty's mother. Chapter 41. Mu Yunxi was the last one to get off the bus. Just as she walked to the door, she suddenly heard a familiar voice. Mom. It was like a flash of lightning, passing through her mind in the dark night, making her completely dumbfounded. Then she looked up suddenly, anxiously looking for someone in the crowd, and sure enough, she saw a figure in the crowd, trying to squeeze towards her. Who else could it be but her mother? But wasn't her mother sent to the Annal factory? How could she be here? Am I dreaming? If so, please God, let me never wake up. Mu Yao finally squeezed over, and stood under the car looking at the dazed Mu Yunxi. What's wrong, Xiaoxi, don't you recognize your mother? Mom, is it really you? Mu Yao smiled slightly, then took her hand. Silly girl, who else could it be but Mom? Mu Yunxi jumped down from the car and hugged Mu Yao. The familiar fragrance instantly filled her nostrils. Yes, this was her mother. Suddenly her nose was sore and her eyes were red. Mom, I miss you so much. Mu Yao touched her hair lovingly and comforted her softly. Silly girl, isn't Mom here? Mu Yunxi suddenly raised her head. Mom, what's going on? At this moment, Zhang Guanglu came over with a group of teachers. Originally, he was going to give a speech after all the students got off the bus, but because of Zhu Guiying's interference, he failed to stabilize the parents' emotions in the first time, which made it a mess now. Look, the mother and daughter are here now, you can ask me and see if I am lying or not. Zhu Guiying stood in front of Mu Yao and her daughter like an old sow with a miscarriage, and said angrily. Today was supposed to be the day for the mother and daughter to reunite, but when they suddenly heard such a voice, both of them frowned. At this time, Zhang Guanglu pulled Zhu Guiying aside, stepped forward and said to Mu Yao, Teacher Mu, where have you been these days, why didn't you come to school? After saying that, he immediately felt that his tone seemed a little wrong, and quickly added, that Teacher Mu, I don't mean to blame you, I just want to care about you. Mu Yao looked at her daughter in confusion. Didn't she tell the people in the school that she was sent to Annal factory? Mu Yunxi said, Teacher Zhang, I have already told the principal about my mother's matter. Didn't the principal tell you? Zhang Guanglu shook his head, and then looked at Zhu Guiying who was pulled away by him. Did you hear it from the principal? No one in the school knew about this, except her. She did hear it from the principal, but it was said when they were flirting. The old man said that he had made no contributions but had worked hard over the years, meaning that he had saved Zhu Guiying a lot of genetic drugs over the years, and then he mentioned Mu Yao's transformation into a beast. As a result, the principal twisted his waist that night and stayed in the hospital for a few days, so he forgot about it. Does it matter who I heard it from now? You should ask her if her mother was sent to Annal factory. Mu Yao said coldly. Whether I was sent to Annal factory or not, what does it have to do with you? Zhu Guiying was unhappy when she heard it. This vixen dared to be mean to me. Do you think you can be mean to me? It's no wonder that Zhu Guiying had such a big reaction. When Mu Yao was in school, she always gave everyone a gentle and moving impression, which made the male classmates full of protective desire for her. They never said harsh words to her. This concerns my mother's innocence. You must explain clearly to everyone today, have you been sent to Annal factory? Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, Zhang Guanglu hurried out to smooth things over and held back Zhu Guiying who was about to pounce on him. Okay, Teacher Zhu, we all know, everything you said is true. At this time, everyone also echoed. Yes, Teacher Zhu did not lie, we all believe Teacher Zhu. Seeing this, Mu Yunxi also wanted to pull her mother away quickly. She couldn't afford to offend that crazy woman Zhu Guiying. But Zhu Guiying heard the perfunctory words of everyone, which was more uncomfortable than killing her. If she let these two women go today, she would not be able to wash herself clean even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Seeing that Mu Yunmu was about to take her mother away, Zhu Guiying pounced forward like crazy and grabbed Mu Yao's hand. You can't leave, I told you you can't leave, today's matter hasn't been made clear, no one of you can leave. Seeing this crazy woman dare to pull her mother, Mu Yunxi immediately said unhappily, Are you crazy? Zhu Guiying was really crazy at this moment. Mu Yunxi, as her student, actually scolded her for being crazy. It would be fine if she had good talent, but what qualifications did AD level waste have to scold me? You idiot, what did you just say? Say it again. Zhu Guiying was trying to grab Mu Yunshi's hair while she was talking, but before she could finish her words, she heard a slap. Mu Yao slapped her hard in the face. Everyone was stunned. In their hearts, Teacher Mu, who was as gentle as water, would actually hit someone. Zhu Guiying covered her face and was stunned for a long time before she came back to her senses. This woman who couldn't even bite water dared to hit me. I'm going to fight you. After saying that, Zhu Guiying stretched out her 10 newly made nails and grabbed Mu Yao's face. When Mu Yunshi saw this, she subconsciously wanted to pull her mother away, but she was still too slow. Her mother was quick-eyed and quick-handed. She grabbed Zhu Guiying's wrist, twisted it outward, and threw Zhu Guiying to the ground. She couldn't get up for a long time. The speed was so fast that everyone thought they were dazzled. Mu Yao looked down at Zhu Guiying and said, "Are you still going to fight? If not, I'm leaving." Zhu Guiying knew that she had lost face this time, so she had to lie on the ground pretending to be dead, too ashamed to see anyone. The moment Mu Yao grabbed her wrist just now, the force was so great that she felt her wrist bones were about to break. If she still wanted to fight with her, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Mu Yunshi looked at her mother in surprise. Her mother was so cool today. She never knew that her mother was so powerful. Xiaoxi, let's go. Ha, oh. Zhang Guanglu and the others were the same, looking at Mu Yao in surprise. In their hearts, Teacher Mu has always been beautiful and gentle, making the opposite gender full of protectiveness towards her. Now they find that her skills are so good, who can resist it? Love you, I will be your most loyal fan in this life. When they heard that Mu Yao was leaving, they realized, Teacher Mu, wait a minute. Teacher Zhang, I have resigned and will not return to school. Resigned. Resigned. All the male teachers felt a pang in their hearts when they heard this, as if the most important thing in their lives had suddenly been lost. They were all heartbroken. Mu Yao left with her daughter. Zhu Guiying got up from the ground. She didn't know when people surrounded her, including students and parents. What made her most angry was the teachers who were watching the fun. They were all watching the fun just now, and no one helped her. Are you all blind? That woman just beat someone up at the school gate, and you didn't do anything. Zhu Guiying's sudden roar was like a helpless brothel owner thrown into the street by a bully. It was hilarious no matter how you looked at it. The people who were originally just pointing fingers at her suddenly burst into laughter. Zhu Guiying was completely embarrassed. She was stunned for a moment, then quickly covered her face and rushed out of the crowd. Zhang Guanglu frowned. He had heard people say that Teacher Zhu was annoying before, but now he realized that she was really annoying. The others also nodded in understanding. Not only was she annoying, but she was also disgusting. Mom, is this the car you bought? Mu Yunshi was a little distracted when she saw the sports car parked on the side of the road. Xiaoxi, Mom wants to tell you something. Oh, Mom, get in the car first, let's talk about it later. I, your daughter, have never ridden in such a cool car before. The roadside was not a place to talk, so she got in the car with her daughter. After the car started, Mu Yunshi glanced at her mother. You are so entangled, it must be something very important, right? Is it related to Anil Factory? Mu Yao held the steering wheel, thought for a while and said, well. Mom has an owner. Oh, Mu Yunshi's calm reaction actually frightened Mu Yao for a moment. She had thought that her daughter would be surprised, angry, or even unreasonable after hearing about this, but she had never thought that her daughter's reaction would be so calm, as if she had heard something insignificant. Aren't you surprised? Don't you want to know who that person is? Mu Yunshi smiled and said, I'm not surprised, because I have long thought that in addition to making a contract with someone, what other ways can my mother use to rescue you from the Anil Factory? As for who my mother's Beastmaster is, no matter who he can restore your sanity, and he is amazing just for this. After all, this is something that even the official is helpless to do. It's simply a miracle. So I want to thank him for creating a miracle for me and bringing my mother back to me. Mu Yao hesitated for a moment. Should I tell her that her Beastmaster is her classmate? When passing by the city park, she parked the car under the shade of the tree. Mu Yunshi glanced at the park next to her and asked curiously, Mom, why did you park the car here? Mu Yao said, Mom thinks it's better to explain some things to you. Seeing her mother's serious look, Mu Yunshi suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart, and tried to squeeze out a stiff smile on her face. Mom, what's the matter, so serious? I'm a little uncomfortable. Mu Yao pondered for a while and asked, Xiao Shi, do you have a classmate named Fang Cheng? Mu Yunshi thought for a while and nodded. It seems that there is such a guy. Mom, why are you suddenly asking about him? In your mind, what kind of person is he? Mu Yunshi felt that there was something strange in her mother's words, but she still said truthfully, how can I describe Fang Cheng? He is a bit cowardly, not very talented, and most importantly, he is a bit stupid. Is he such a person in your heart? Mu Yunshi nodded. Let me tell you this, he is almost a transparent person in school. I have been classmates with him for 3 years, and I only found out about him in the class this semester. And it's because of Suyaki. By the way, Suyaki is also our classmate, his childhood sweetheart, who looks okay, but unfortunately she is a green tea. She often fools around with some rich kids without telling him, and he. Let me put it this way, he gives me the feeling of a dog raised by Suyaki, so I say he is cowardly and stupid. Bang! Mu Yao accidentally broke the steering wheel, scaring Mu Yunshi. Mom, what's wrong with you? You scared me. Mu Yao also knew that she had lost her composure a little, but she just wanted to slap her daughter for no apparent reason, but luckily she held back. And that woman named Suyaki, why did she treat Xiao Fang like this? Sorry, I scared you. Mu Yao took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. Mom, what's going on? Are you trying to tell me that your beastmaster is Fang Cheng? Mu Yao turned to look at her daughter when she heard this. She heard about Fang Cheng's past experiences, which made her emotions, which had just calmed down, become chaotic again. She originally wanted to tell her daughter these things in a gentle way so that she could accept Fang Cheng smoothly. But now she was like a sulker, too lazy to think so much, and said directly, yes, Mom's beastmaster is Xiao Fang. After saying that, she looked at Mu Yunshi, as if to say, no matter what your attitude is next, this is the fact. The car suddenly fell into silence, so quiet that it made people feel depressed. After a long while, Mu Yunshi suddenly laughed and said, then don't I owe him a huge favor? Seeing her daughter's seemingly casual but actually deliberate smile, Mu Yao suddenly felt a little regretful in her heart. She shouldn't have been so careless just now. But what's the use of regretting now? So she took her daughter's hand and said, he is actually different from what you see. He is a very promising young man. He has good talent, and he is also very smart. He is a responsible, brave and resourceful little man. Whatever you say is what it is. As long as Mom is happy, it's fine. And if it weren't for him, I would never see Mom again, don't you think? I know you don't believe it, that's because you've been in the training camp all this time. After saying that, Mu Yao opened her bracelet and pulled out the short videos of Fang Cheng during this period of time, showing them to Mu Yunshi one by one. He actually took you to participate in the rookie competition of the Lingqi Guild. Mu Yao nodded. Yes, and we won first place. Not only that, he was also admitted by the Lingqi Guild as an exception and became the youngest member of the Lingqi Guild. How can this be? I said you don't believe it, but can this video on the internet be fake? But, Mu Yunshi slid her fingers quickly on the holographic screen, as if she wanted to find someone in these videos to tell her that all this was fake. Unfortunately, there was no one. Even the videos in which Zhu Guiying slandered Fang Cheng had now magically disappeared. Mu Yunshi naturally didn't know this, but some of the live broadcasts in the medical area at that time had been cut into short videos and posted online. Through these videos, she was surprised to find that the Fang Cheng in the video, except for his appearance and voice, was completely different from the Fang Cheng she knew, whether in temperament, demeanor, or tone of voice. Was that guy hit hard and suddenly changed his temperament? Or does he have a dual personality? Mu Yunshi pointed at Fang in the video and said, is this person really him? What do you think? But the Fang Cheng I know is not like this. What does that look like? He is. Mu Yunshi was speechless for a moment. Could it be that we had misjudged him before? Then Mu Yunshi suddenly asked, where is he now? At home. At home. Our home. Have you always lived together? Mu Yao nodded. He is my mother's beastmaster, of course he has to live with her, what's the problem? Mu Yunshi said unconvinced. Doesn't he have a home of his own? Yes, and it's a big villa. Big villa. Mu Yunxi seemed to have suddenly found Fang Cheng's flaw, and said excitedly, "Impossible, Mom, you must have been deceived by that guy. He actually lives in a slum and doesn't have any big villa at all." Mu Yao nodded. "I know, he told me on the first day that the big villa I mentioned was a reward to him by the guild. Did you forget that I said that he was admitted by the Lingqi Guild as an exception? In other words, it was the Lingqi Guild that begged him to join, so what's the big deal about giving him a villa? The reason why he lives in our house now is because I was worried that you couldn't find me after the training camp, and I wanted to stay at home and wait for you, so he stayed to accompany me." Mu Yunxi is very confused now. Fang Cheng's change directly overturned her understanding. This is more surprising than Mu Yao telling her that he is your father. Can anyone enter the Lingqi Guild if they want to? Even for herself, after graduating from college, they may not necessarily accept her. But how old is he? To be precise, he hasn't even graduated from high school, but he was admitted to the Lingqi Guild. And the Fang Cheng she saw in the video has changed too much. He is completely different from the Fang Cheng in school, both in temperament and conversation. Seeing that her daughter didn't speak for a long time, Mu Yao held her hand and said, "Xiaoxi, Mom knows you can't accept it for a while. But I hope you can get along with him for the sake of saving Mom's life. After a long time, you will like him." At the same time in the slums, a taxi drove into the slums. This was definitely a rare thing for people living in the slums. The roads in the slums were narrow, and the car was not driving fast. The dust raised by the rear of the car was like a smoke screen. A group of children were playing and laughing in the dust, chasing the car forward. The taxi finally stopped in front of Su Yaki's house, and the neighbors around curiously poked their heads out to look over here. Who is this? With such a big show, he actually took a taxi home. Needless to say, it must be that girl from the Su family. The girl from the Su family. Oh, yes, today is the closing day of the training camp. Did Fang Cheng come back with her? I heard that Fang Cheng has become very successful recently. The door of the taxi opened, and Su Yaki, wearing a combat uniform that fit her skin tightly, stepped out of the car. She looked arrogant and squinted at the neighbors around her, as if to say, "Look at you poor people, I just took a taxi back, but you were all so shocked that your jaws dropped. If I come back in a luxury car one day, won't you all be scared to death? Mom is getting out of the car, I'll help you." Her mother Tian Chunrao said in the car, "Oh, my dear daughter, this is the first time for Mom to sit in such a soft car, and it's really hard for me to get up." "Okay, Mom, I'll help you." Su Yaki helped Tian Chunrao down from the taxi. The car left, but the neighbors looked strange. You looked at me, I looked at you, and finally someone couldn't help asking, "That Xiaoqi, Xiaofang didn't come back with you?" Su Yaki was stunned and frowned. "Xiaofang? Which Xiaofang?" Neighbor Ma Ju continued. "Oh, it's Fengcheng who grew up with you. Don't mention him to me, a vile and shameless hooligan, didn't you all see him last time? I have nothing to do with that rubbish any longer." When the neighbors heard her say this, they all looked at Tian Chunrao in surprise, as if to say, "Old Tian, didn't you tell your daughter that Fang Cheng is now rich?" Su Yaki also subconsciously looked at her mother, but found that her mother's eyes were like a thief who didn't dare to look at her. Fang Cheng is no longer the same as before. How could she have the nerve to tell her daughter that when Su Yaki dumped Fang Cheng, she strongly supported it? Moreover, she scolded Fang Cheng at that time, calling him a jinx and a burden. Anyway, she scolded him with all kinds of nasty words, just afraid that he would still pester her daughter. But who could have thought that he would turn around and make a big leap, not only contracting a beautiful woman, but also winning the first place in the rookie competition of the Lingqi Guild with so many beastmasters. In the end, he was admitted by the Lingqi Guild as an exception. To be honest, she regretted it so much now. If she had known that the boy had this ability, she should have welded him and her daughter together directly, and never let her daughter dump him no matter what. Even if her daughter didn't want to, she would tie them together. Su Yaki also felt that something seemed to be wrong, and hurriedly asked her mother, "What happened to Mom?" "Come on, I have a question for you." "That, my dear daughter, this." Su Yaki saw her mother hesitating and was very angry. She said angrily, "What's this and that? Why is it so hard to listen to you? Tell me quickly, what's going on?" Seeing that Tian Chunrao was too embarrassed to speak, the neighbor immediately wanted to watch the fun and laughed. Xiaoqi, don't you know? No way, such big news, the whole Yucheng knows it, and you don't know it. Su Yaki said angrily, Qi Laosan, you know, why don't you tell me? Just say it, I'm not your mother, what can I not say? Xiao Fang is rich now. As soon as he finished speaking, someone immediately said, yes, now the whole Yucheng knows that Fang Cheng not only has a contract with a beautiful girl, but his beast girl is much more beautiful than you, I'm not lying to you. Another neighbor said, that's right, his beast girl has a good figure, a good appearance, and a gentle personality, especially her eyes, which make people's hearts melt. Listening to the neighbors chattering, Su Yaki clenched her fists tightly. If she hadn't been wearing combat uniforms, the veins on the back of her hands would have bulged. How could that waste be like this? I dumped him, and he turned around and made a contract with someone else. Who allowed him to make a contract with someone else? Did I agree? Coward, can't you just be a coward quietly? You have to come and make trouble for me. Su Yaki took a deep breath and said disdainfully, isn't it just a contract with someone? A waste, anyone who can make a contract with him must also be a waste. Qi Lao San laughed and said, but his beast girl is really prettier than you. Su Yaki was most annoyed to hear this sentence, prettier than you. Let's not talk about whether she is really as pretty as me. For a beast girl, can such beauty be used to make a living? Ah, she is also very strong. Neighbor Zhu Ru rushed to say, Xiao Fang is not a bad kid, how could he have contracted such a strong beast girl? Strong, how strong can that rubbish be? Su Yaki said unhappily. Haha, you are ignorant of this, right? Xiao Fang won first place in the rookie competition of Lingqi Guild, and now he is a formal member of Lingqi Guild, and he is a special recruit. Qi Lao San laughed and said, that's right, Xiao Qi, if you want to join Lingqi Guild, you probably have to wait until you graduate from college, right? Xiao Fang skipped college and joined Lingqi Guild directly. Do you think he is amazing now? Su Yaki was surprised when she heard it, he joined Lingqi Guild directly. How is this possible? Impossible, you can check it online, I'm not bragging. If one person says this, it may be false, but if a group of people say this, even my useless mother is hesitant, is it necessary to check it? Calm down. Su Yaki forced herself to calm down and think about what was going on. But when she thought about Fang Cheng, the jinx in everyone's mouth suddenly became Xiao Fang, she was furious. The only one who is praised by everyone and fawned on by everyone is me. When will it be Fang Cheng's turn? He ranked first in the rookie competition and was specially recruited by the Spiritual Contract Guild. And his current beast girl is even prettier than me. Have you asked me? He went to make a contract with others. Who gave him the courage? Mom, aren't you tired of standing like a mute for so long? I'll help you go home. Su Yaki pulled Tian Chunrao back to the house without saying anything. When they got home, Tian Chunrao stammered, my dear daughter. What do you mean by, your daughter was scolded by those poor people, and you just stood there and watched. You were really my good mother. Tian Chunrao was scolded by Su Yaki, and she was also angry. But she couldn't take this anger out on her daughter. If she wanted to be rich and prosperous in the future, she had to rely on this good daughter. My dear daughter, just wait. I'm going to go out and fight with those gossipers. After saying that, Tian Chunrao ran out angrily and quarreled with the neighbors around her. Su Yaki didn't bother to care about her. She turned on her bracelet and checked the internet for the things that group of poor people had just said. It would have been fine if she hadn't checked, but this time she was even more furious. Because his current beast girl is really better looking than herself. Wait, why does this beast girl look so familiar? Isn't this Teacher Mew from school? Looking at Teacher Mew staring at Fang Cheng, with eyes full of attachment and obsession, Su Yaki felt like her lungs were about to explode. Well, you dare to steal my man while I'm not at home. Su Yaki rushed out the door in a hurry. Tian Chunrao, who was quarreling with someone outside, saw her and asked hurriedly, my dear daughter, where are you going? Suiyuan community. Anyway, don't worry about it. Just fight with them. If you can't win, don't call me your daughter anymore. I can't afford to lose this person. Provoked by Su Yaki's words, this time it's a life-threatening situation, forcing Tian Chunrao to directly fight with others, scratching her neck and cheeks, and making a scene of chaos. The scene was like closing the door and letting the dogs go. Anyway, what Suyaki wanted was, if you don't want me to have a good life, you can't have a good life either. As for whether her mother is doing well, it's none of her business. Suiyuan community. Fang Cheng was sitting at home alone, surfing the internet, looking up some information about the City Youth Tournament. To the original owner, the City Youth Tournament was just a name, without any meaning. Fang Cheng needed to make up for all the relevant knowledge by himself. During this period, he also wanted to find Tang Li and Wu Zhong to ask for relevant knowledge and experience in person. But the couple seemed to have discussed it beforehand. When they saw Fang Cheng, they said, "Little brother, relax. Just treat this as a chance to see the world. It doesn't matter if you get a good ranking or not. In short, don't put too much pressure on yourself." But the problem was that the couple had made all kinds of promises to encourage him to participate in the competition. The first place in this competition was 3S level crystals, and 2 of the 3 could be chosen. There was also a 5 million yuan bonus, and an A-level martial arts skill that he could learn for free. It didn't matter whether it was money or not, but he had his eyes on the supernatural crystal and the beast soul crystal. Needless to say, the beast soul crystal could help Mr. Mew improve his skills. The supernatural crystal could help him awaken another supernatural power, or if he was lucky, he could directly upgrade his lightning supernatural power to S level. The higher the level of the ability, the greater the power. At the same time, Fang Cheng also wants to awaken a wood-related ability, because Teacher Mew has a 25% ability bonus for him, and he can also share skills with her, but only for wood-related abilities. There is also the A-level skill, Original Magnetism, which he has long been eyeing and is determined to get. So no matter what, he can't just go through the motions in this city youth competition like Wu Zhong and his wife said. At this moment, he heard the sound of a door opening, and Fang Cheng turned around and saw Teacher Mew pushing the door to go home. "Are you back?" Fang Cheng asked with a smile. Teacher Mew leaned on the shoe cabinet to change shoes and asked, "Xiao Fang, are you bored at home alone?" "Not bored. Why did you come back alone? Our school beauty didn't come back with you." Fang Cheng stood up and subconsciously went to pick up Teacher Mew, but he was stunned as soon as he turned around. School beauty Mu Yunxi was standing at the door, staring at him unhappily. "Who is your family? Do you really think you are the master of this house?" "Xiao Shi." Teacher Mew turned around and frowned at her. Mu Yunxi said unhappily, "That's right, am I wrong? Am I related to him? How did it become his family's?" Fang Cheng cleared his throat awkwardly. "Sorry, I was just joking with your mother just now. This joke is not funny. Don't make it again. Xiaoxi, how can you talk like this? How did you promise me?" Originally, she wanted to live in peace with Fang Cheng because he saved her mother. But it would be fine if Fang Cheng didn't mention Teacher Mew. As soon as Teacher Mew was mentioned, Mu Yunxi felt that her mother was taken away by someone, and she felt upset. Mu Yunxi said helplessly, Okay, you guys chat, I'll go change my clothes. The combat uniform is good in every way, but it's too close-fitting. It's okay to wear it in the wild, but at home, especially in a home with outsiders, it seems a bit ambiguous. Of course, you can also be reluctant to take it off like Suyaki, and use it as a capital for showing off, but Mu Yunxi obviously doesn't have such an idea. Seeing Mu Yunxi slam the door, what Mu Yao wanted to say to her was also blocked in her throat. Looking back and seeing Fang Cheng, she felt a little embarrassed. "Sorry, Xiao Fang, Xiao Shi is probably still not used to it." Seeing Mu Yao's embarrassment, Fang Cheng smiled slightly, put his arm around her shoulders and said, "I know, and I also know that you have made a lot of efforts for her to go home with you. I won't blame you, and I won't have any opinions about her. Anyway, I won't do anything that will make it difficult for you." Fang Cheng's casual words touched Teacher Mu's heartstrings, causing her face to blush slightly, as beautiful as the sunset in the sky. Her originally calm eyes, at this moment, were like a lake with a stone thrown into it, rippling with layers of ripples. She stared at Fang Cheng affectionately, and that look seemed to be able to melt everything, containing endless tenderness. "Xiao Fang, why are you so nice to me? What should I do if you don't want me anymore?" She had been abandoned before, so how could she have experienced such tenderness? Little fool, you are my beast girl, right? To paraphrase what you said, no matter how many beast girls I have in the future, you will always be the one I love the most. Seeing Teacher Mew being moved, Fang Cheng suddenly felt that what he said was really mean. In the room, Mu Yunxi, who had changed her clothes, didn't want to go out. The impression of the original owner on her was already deeply rooted, and it couldn't be changed by watching a few videos. To put it simply, she looked down on Fang Cheng. If Fang Cheng hadn't saved her mother, she wouldn't even be interested in talking to Fang Cheng. One thing at a time, we must find a way to get him to terminate his contract with his mother. Mu Yunxi stood in front of the window, thinking angrily. At this moment, she inadvertently saw an annoying figure downstairs. Who else could it be but Suyaki? Suyaki was downstairs, asking someone about something. It's not enough that she is domineering in the training camp, and she dares to come to my house to cause trouble for me. Do you really think I have no temper? No, she may not be looking for me. The conflict between her and herself mainly comes from Shen Tujun, which is her persecution delusion. She doesn't like Shen Tujun at all, and she actually knows this in her heart, so she will only target or retaliate against herself when the three of them are in the same space, or when Shen Tujun has any ideas about her. She is now downstairs in my house, and the only possibility is one. When she thought of this, Mu Yunxi subconsciously looked outside the door. Fang Cheng was in her house. Although Fang Cheng was kicked away by her, for a woman like her, even if it was garbage she threw away, it was hers, and others could not pick it up. Besides, how could her mother lose to this woman? After she learned that Fang Cheng had a contract with my mother, wasn't she going crazy? Fang Cheng was really something. He had no ability and would only cause trouble for my mother. Why did my mother fall for such a man? Wait a minute, didn't I want him to terminate the contract with my mother? This opportunity really came. Mu Yunxi looked at Suyaki downstairs through the glass, and a sneer appeared on the corner of her mouth. Mu Yunxi hurried out of the bedroom. Mom, Mu Yao poked her head out from the kitchen. What's wrong, Xiaoxi? Mu Yunxi didn't see Fang Cheng, and asked again, where's that guy? At this time Fang Cheng poked his head out from the balcony, looking for me. What are you doing there? Fang Cheng shook the kettle in his hand and said, watering the flowers. Why are you watering the flowers when the sun hasn't even set yet? Aren't you afraid they'll suffocate to death? Forget it, I won't tell you any more. He turned around and looked at Mu Yao and said, Mom, let's go out for dinner today. Going out to eat, but I've already prepared the food. Oh, Mom, I finally came back from the training camp, don't you want to treat me to a big meal? Fang Cheng said, Teacher Mew, let's go out to eat, I also want to change the taste. Okay then. Mu Yao wiped her hands on her apron, untied it and said, wait for me to change clothes. Mu Yao went to change clothes, but Mu Yunxi found that Fang Cheng had been staring at her mother's back, and she was very angry. You'll be in trouble later. Mu Yunxi took Mu Yao's hand and went out, leaving Fang Cheng behind. Fang Cheng didn't feel anything, but Mu Yao was a little uncomfortable. These days, she and Fang Cheng went out together, and she always went out holding Fang Cheng's hand. Now that her daughter is back, she suddenly found that she seemed like a troublesome light bulb. The time when the three of them arrived downstairs was just right by Mu Yunxi, and as soon as they came down, they ran into Suyaki who was walking towards them. Hey, Fang Cheng, your childhood sweetheart is here, why don't you go say hello? Suyaki's sudden appearance caught Mu Yao off guard. Before this, she had always believed that Fang Cheng must like her, but now she was not sure. She felt a little flustered inexplicably, and subconsciously grabbed Mu Yunxi beside her. She turned her head stiffly with her smooth jade neck and looked at Fang Cheng behind her. Fang Cheng knew that at this time, the most important thing was to reassure Teacher Mew. He walked to Teacher Mew and held her hand, and at the same time looked at Mu Yunxi meaningfully. Suyaki appeared in the community, how could he not see it while he was watering the flowers on the balcony? Besides, he was not watering the flowers. In summer, the sun had not yet set, and watering the flowers would suffocate them. Just when he was thinking about how to deal with this woman, Mu Yunxi just came out of the bedroom and was going out for a big meal. He simply followed the trend and went downstairs with the two of them. He should give teacher Mew an explanation so that she would not be so unconfident all the time. As for Mu Yunshi's sudden idea of going out for a big meal, Fang Cheng would never believe it if she didn't do it on purpose. What childhood sweethearts, they are just neighbors, Fang Cheng said calmly. Su Yaki frowned when she heard this. What a neighbor, I've only been away for a few days. You're looking for other women behind my back. Are you trying to rebel? Hey Fang Cheng, who are they? Why are you here? Fang Cheng said expressionlessly. What does Su Yaki have to do with you? How can it be okay? Su Yaki wanted to say, I am your girlfriend, but when she thought of her current boyfriend, Shen Tujun, she was worried that this would get to Shen Tujun's ears and cause trouble for herself. So she swallowed the word, girlfriend, back. What am I? My neighbor. Don't you think you're meddling too much? What neighbor? I am your childhood sweetheart. Besides, even if we are neighbors, is it too much for me to ask you? Su Yaki's shameless words were really impeccable. Fang Cheng took Mu Yao's hand and said, then let me introduce you to each other. Su Yaki, this is my girlfriend Mu Yao, and the woman Yao Yao was my former neighbor, her name is Su Yaki. Mu Yao felt the warmth and strength coming from Fang Cheng's palm, and felt very relieved. So she nodded to Su Yaki and said, is Xiao Fang your neighbor? Why haven't I heard you mention him before? Hi, just an ordinary neighbor, there is no need to single him out to talk to you. If I have a chance to go to the slums, I will introduce them to you one by one. Fang Cheng looked calm and composed. You won't get angry when dealing with a woman like Su Yaki. The more angry she is, the more proud she will be. On the contrary, the less you care about her, the angrier she will be. Mu Yunshi, who was standing aside, looked at the performance of the two with a puzzled look on her face. She wanted Su Yaki to expose his true face. But why did Fang Cheng, that guy, not only not be afraid at all after meeting Su Yaki, but also acted a double act with his mother? And how did my mother become your girlfriend? Did I agree? My mother is at best your beast mother. No, Mu Yunshi suddenly reacted and looked at Fang Cheng in surprise. If this was still the same stupid and useless loser as before, how dare he provoke Su Yaki like this? Su Yaki looked at the intimacy between Fang Cheng and Mu Yao, and her lungs were about to explode with anger. A pair of dogs and fools, Fang, you don't want me to have a good life, right? Then you don't want to have a good life either. Fang Cheng, you are deliberately trying to piss me off, right? Haven't I always been the person you liked? In the past, when I told you to go east, you never dared to go west. I just ignored you for a few days, and you treated me like this. Aren't you too petty? Su Yaki forced herself to suppress the anger in her heart and looked at Fang Cheng seriously. I want to see how your girlfriend will react when she hears this. Mu Yao looked at Fang Cheng. Xiao Fang, no matter who you liked before, as long as you have me in your heart now, I will be satisfied. Besides, if a boy as outstanding as you is not liked by girls, then I will doubt my own vision. Fang Cheng smiled slightly. What else could a husband ask for in this life to have such a wife? Teacher Mu Wallpaper patted the back of Mu Yao's hand and said, you misunderstood, and she misunderstood too. I have been an orphan since I was a child. Aunt Lin picked me up and raised me. And Su Yaki didn't know who her father was since she was a child. At this point, Mu Yunshi couldn't help but burst out laughing. Fang Cheng glanced at her and continued, maybe it's because we share the same suffering, so I have only treated her as a younger sister since she was a child. I have taken good care of her since she was a child, and maybe that's why she misunderstood. Su Yaki couldn't hold it anymore, and raised her voice directly, misunderstanding. Sister, do you know what you are talking about? I tell you, Fang, if you know what's good for you, come here quickly, otherwise we are completely finished. Fang Cheng said to Mu Yao with apologetic attitude, I'm sorry, she seems to have some problems with her brain. Her mother likes to use a broom to hit her head since she was a child. After so many years of knocking, it finally worked. Mu Yao smiled, how can you say that about someone? After all, she is your sister. Mu Yao was joking in the first half of the sentence, but the second half was obviously jealous, and there was a hint of threat. This is good, and lovers should be like this. Although men like their other half to obey their words, if they always obey them, what is the difference between them and slaves without thoughts? Especially in this world, if she keeps being submissive to me, it is better to say that she is bound by the contract rather than really loving me. Now teacher Mew has not only learned to cheat me, but also become jealous and now threaten me. This is good, this is how a living person should behave. What brother and sister? That was all in the past. On the day of the talent appraisal at school, she had already drawn a line between us. Miu Yao pretended to be surprised and said, really? With such an outstanding brother like you, she actually wants to draw a line between us. Didn't I say that? Her mother used to hit her on the head with a broom when she was young, and it made her stupid. Fang Cheng and Miu Yao kept talking, which completely pissed off Su Yaki. Mr. Fang, I'm going to fight you. After saying that, she pounced towards Fang Cheng with her teeth and claws bared. Fang Cheng subconsciously pushed Miu Yao away and dodged backwards, but he saw that this woman was actually making a feint to the east and attacking in the west. Her real target was Miu Yao. How could Fang Cheng tolerate her now? He subconsciously grabbed her hair and pulled her over, and at the same time slapped her in the face. Miu Yunxi on the side hadn't reacted yet, and there was a crisp sound of slapping, and Su Yaki fell to the ground in an instant. Su Yaki was stunned, covering her face and looking at Fang Cheng. You dare to hit me? Fang Cheng said with a fake smile. Oh, I'm so sorry, I just saw a mosquito that wanted to bite my girlfriend, but I didn't expect to hit you in the face. I'm so sorry. This slap was painful, but it finally woke Su Yaki up. What happened to me just now? Is this still me? How did I make myself look like a shrew? From the moment I learned that he had turned over a new leaf, I seem to have lost my sense of proportion. Fang Cheng, that guy, must be very proud of myself when he sees me like this. Su Yaki looked at Fang Cheng with eyes that became colder and colder. Fang Cheng didn't expect that you actually have such a manly side. This is very good, really. Fang Cheng looked at Su Yaki in confusion. Could this woman really have a concussion from me? But Su Yaki continued. But everything you gave me today, I will definitely return to you double, I promise. After saying that, he covered his face and walked away. His face was burning with pain, but for some reason he felt a little refreshed. He couldn't help but want to look back at Fang Cheng again. Fang Cheng had grown up to be very handsome, which she could not deny. A long time ago, when she knew nothing, she could stare at his face for a whole day. If he could slap me like this earlier, maybe. Su Yaki didn't think about it anymore, nor did she look back at Fang Cheng. Although she didn't know why that waist suddenly turned over and was noticed by the Lingqi Guild and became a man, so what? He was born in a humble family, and no matter how talented he was, he couldn't compare with Shen Tujun. Sooner or later, I will hit back this slap today, and as for the girl next to you, no matter how proud she is now, I will make her regret it in the future. After leaving the community, she took a taxi and didn't go home, but went to the high-end community Aoshi Villa where Shen Tujun was. Miu Yunxi was very unhappy. Ever since that crazy woman Su Yaki ran away, her mother actually walked away holding Fang Cheng's hand. They looked so intimate, like a young girl who had just fallen in love. The point was that she had completely forgotten about her daughter. Mom, Miu Yunxi couldn't help but called out from behind. Miu Yao turned around and smiled. What's wrong, Xiaoxi? Hurry up and catch up, didn't you say you wanted to have a big meal? After saying that, she looked at Fang Cheng with a smile in her eyes, and then leaned on his shoulder. She didn't avoid her daughter behind her at all. Miu Yunxi stomped her feet in anger. Mom, you are 36 years old, and your daughter is so old, why are you still like a little girl? What's so good about Fang Cheng? He can actually fascinate you so much that he doesn't even want your daughter. Miu Yao and Fang Cheng walked forward for a while, and found that Miu Yunxi didn't follow, so she looked back at her in confusion. What's wrong, Xiaoxi? At this time Fang Cheng said, why don't we go home to eat, I like your cooking the most. Miu Yao looked at him and smiled sweetly, okay. Miu Yunxi was not happy, and said unhappily, no, I want to have a big meal, Fang, you treat me to this meal today. Xiaoxi, seeing that teacher Miu was about to lecture Miu Yunxi again, Fang Cheng quickly tightened his hand on her waist and interrupted her. Miu Yunxi herself might not have reacted. Although her words just now seemed to be against Fang Cheng, she was actually beginning to accept Fang Cheng as her stepfather in her subconscious. If a person as arrogant as Miu Yunxi really hated someone, would she go to dinner with him? Fang Cheng smiled and said, no problem, I'll treat you. Just order whatever you want. I'm not bragging, you can choose from any hotel or restaurant in the whole Yucheng. It just so happens that Teacher Mew and I haven't been to such high-end places yet. You just happen to be a chance for a country bumpkin like me to open my eyes. Is this what you said? Of course, I lied to you that this is it. Fang Cheng pointed his 5 fingers downwards and made a turtle gesture, which made Teacher Mew beside him smile. Okay, I'm going to Xingyao Mansion. No problem. Fang Cheng thought for a moment and said, if I remember correctly, the restaurant is in the city center, a little far, I'll go get the car. Mu Yao suddenly grabbed Fang Cheng and said, Xiao Fang, I accidentally broke the car today. Are you okay? Fang Cheng looked at Teacher Mew nervously. Fang Cheng's nervous look made Teacher Mew feel sweet in his heart, and he shook his head. No need to look, I'm fine, really. Mu Yunxi said unhappily. Okay, don't be sticking around there, I'm still here. After that, she passed by the 2 of them angrily. Aoshi Villa has a huge artificial lake in the middle, with villas scattered around it. It is a famous wealthy community in Yucheng, and it is also the property of the Shintu family. She has been to Shintu Jun's villa before, where she was brought here by her best friend as a gun stand for the last pool party. So this time, she is familiar with the place. There is a doorbell in front of the villa, but she didn't ring it, and she had to punch and kick the door. Then she heard Shintu Jun say in a bad mood from inside the door, who the hell is that? The door opened, and a male servant in a suit came out. Miss, are you crazy? Miss, you are the miss, your whole family is miss, does Shen Tujun live here? Call him out immediately. Little girl, do you know my young master? Nonsense, I just heard his voice, don't tell me he's not here. The servant had no choice but to turn around and look at Shen Tujun by the swimming pool. Who is it? Old Tian. Old Tian was about to speak when Suyaki pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing Shen Tujun, she immediately said unhappily, what's wrong with me? You can't even recognize my voice. Shen Tujun saw Suyaki and his heart twitched. Why are you here? Didn't you say you were waiting for me to find you? I am your beast girl now, can't I come to find you? Yes, of course. I just want to clean up the house and give you a surprise. Seeing Shintu Jun's helpless look, Lao Tian rubbed his eyes quickly. Is this still the 8th young master of his family? Although the 8th young master is not very old, what kind of women has he not seen? Why does it feel like he is a little afraid of the little girl in front of him? But then again, this girl is really fierce, like a she-demon. Suyaki glanced at Lao Tian, frowned and said, this is none of your business, go and do your thing. Old Tian glanced at his young master in confusion, and Shintu Jun quickly waved at him, motioning him to leave quickly. Suyaki glanced at the swimming pool, her eyes slid across the water, and then looked at the tent under the tree in the distance. The scene at the pool party is still vivid in her mind. And that white tent, I was there and was almost stabbed to death by Shintu Jun and his friends, but now it seems like it was just yesterday. Today, I revisited the old place, but I, Suyaki, am no longer the lowly and stupid girl. She took a deep breath and forced herself to suppress the anger she had received from Fang Cheng. She walked gracefully to the beach chair and sat down. She crossed her legs and swung her high heels, as if she was enjoying the beautiful sunset, but in fact she was fishing. Seeing this, Shintu Jun quickly climbed out of the swimming pool and came to her with a flattering face. I didn't expect you to come to me on your own initiative. Suyaki glanced at him with disdain, raised her straight and slender legs, and practiced calligraphy lightly on Shen Tujun's body with the tip of her shoes. She knew that Shen Tujun indulged her like this not because he loved her so much, nor because he admired her so much. How could a man like him accept a woman who had fought with his friends? Doesn't he have any face? He just likes the pair of high heels on his feet, and they happen to be worn on his feet. Suyaki's ankles are very flexible. She drew a circle on the dot of the word, tie, and soon the word, tie, was circled into a wood. At this time, she looked up at Shen Tujun, and just when Shen Tujun felt that he had an opportunity, she kicked him away. Get out of the way. Shen Tujun staggered after being kicked, and then he realized it belatedly, and saw the slap mark on Suyaki's face, and said in confusion, who slapped the mark on your face? What? You want to help me? Nonsense, you are my woman now, tell me who bullied you. I will make him regret coming into this world. Suyaki smiled coldly. Don't give me that, I think you want to take this opportunity to get close to that little fool Mu Yunshi, right? Yunshi, was it her who hit him? Do you think she has that ability? Not her, who else? Her Beastmaster. Okay, why am I telling you this? Suyaki turned her head away in a bad mood. She seemed to be looking at the scenery, but she was secretly paying attention to Shen Tujun's reaction. Sure enough, when he knew that Mu Yunshi had a Beastmaster, he looked like he was struck by lightning. Suyaki smiled coldly. Shen Tujun couldn't understand why there were still people who were not afraid of death and dared to make a contract with Mu Yunshi after he had already made the promise. Who is her Beastmaster? Tell me, are you giving me orders? Okay, seeing how pitiful you look, I will tell you so that you can give up. Her Beastmaster is Fang Chang. Fang Chang. Shen Tujun was stunned for a moment. Why did this name sound so familiar? Suddenly his pupils shrank and he looked at Suyaki fiercely. Is it the loser who liked you before? This is impossible. How could Yunshi like that loser? You underestimated that loser. He has been scheming since he was young. In order to avenge me for dumping him, he used some despicable tricks to become the Beastmaster of that little fool. As soon as I got home today, that loser brought that little fool to show off in front of me. I was so angry that I wanted to slap him, but Suyaki touched her cheek. The place where Fang Cheng had hit her before was still burning with pain. That guy was really strong and had no mercy on women. He really beat me to death. But after knowing him for so long, this was the first time I saw him so manly. Bah, why was I thinking about all this? She turned back and glanced at Shen Tujun. At this time, his face was ashen and he wanted to cut Fang Cheng into pieces. Suyaki smiled slightly. This guy really wanted to kill Fang Cheng, but it was not because Fang Cheng hit her, but because Fang Cheng really touched his reverse scale. Mu Yunshi was his reverse scale. He had pursued Mu Yunshi for so many years but failed. Why did Fang Cheng, that waste, get the upper hand? It is a great regret in life to be unable to love someone, but Suyaki can transform this regret into another emotion in Shen Tujun's heart, such as a complex. But what good does this do for me? I just want to see them together. One is not enough, and I have to give him another one. You want to kill that fool? Suyaki smiled coldly. Do you want to protect him? Shen Tujun said coldly. Why should I protect him? But you may not know this yet, right? That loser is no longer the useless person he used to be. What's the meaning? He is now a member of the Lingqi Guild, and a talent specially recruited by the Lingqi Guild. No matter how rich your Shentu family is, you are no match for the Lingqi Guild, right? Shen Tu's teeth were clattering, his face flushed red, and the veins on his forehead bulged, as if they would burst at any time. Suyaki was right. His Shen Tu family was rich, but he really didn't dare to mess with the Lingqi Guild. Are you scolding me? Suyaki said with a cold face. Shen Tujun glanced at her and didn't bother to pay attention to her. Suyaki turned around, folded her hands in front of her, leaned back in her chair and said arrogantly, "Don't you ever go online?" There is news online that Fang Cheng has been expelled from school because he molested a female classmate. What does this have to do with me wanting to kill him? Suyaki looked back at Shen Tujun and said with disdain, "Do you think the Lingqi Guild would want such a person with bad conduct and corrupt morals?" Shen Tujun's eyes lit up, but after thinking for a while, he said, "No, it's still not possible. What you know, the Lingqi Guild must also know, but he still entered the Lingqi Guild. That's because this matter has not been confirmed yet. With the resources of your Shentu family, it shouldn't be difficult to make this matter a reality, right?" "I see. Don't worry, leave it to me." After saying that, the two of them smiled at each other. "Okay, that's settled, I'm leaving first." Suyaki stood up and was about to leave, but was pulled back by Shen Tujun. "What should I do if you leave?" Suyaki glanced at the vertical line in the word, Mu, and pushed Shen Tujun away with a look of disgust. What a trouble. Shen Tujun laughed. "Don't forget that you are my beast girl now, and you have an unshirkable responsibility to increase the taming value." As a result, in less than 10 minutes, Suyaki was wiping her high heels by the swimming pool, threw the tissue into the pool, and looked back at Shen Tujun on the ground. I can help you kill Fang Cheng, but if you want to be with Mu Yunxi, forget it in this life. Don't worry, dear, I only love you in this life. Love me alone. How much do you love me? Suyaki stepped on him with one foot, exerting a little force with her slender heels, and said with a cunning look on her lips. Shen Tujun swallowed his saliva with a look of aftertaste when he saw the metal high-heeled shoe in front of him. He subconsciously wanted to reach out to grab it, but was kicked away by Suyaki. Get out. After saying that, Suyaki turned and left, but suddenly thought of something, turned back and asked, do you have a car? Yes. Shen Tujun's eyes lit up and he quickly sat up and said. Put away your dirty thoughts, I just don't want to walk back. Do you mind if you give me one? Of course, that's no problem, but do you have a driver's license? This question really stumped Suyaki. Shen Tujun quickly got up and said, I'll drive you. Suyaki glanced at Shen Tujun. It would be good to show this guy in front of those poor people. Let everyone know that Fang Cheng, that loser, is doing well, and I, Suyaki, am not doing badly either. Okay, but you have to behave yourself in the car. Suiyuan community. Mu Yunxi is trying on the combat uniform that Mu Yao gave her. Originally, after the three of them had dinner today, Fang Cheng took her to the Lingqi Guild, wanting to buy her AD level combat uniform. As a result, the girl's own strength was too low, and she couldn't wear the D-level combat uniform. When they got home, Mu Yao gave her the E-level combat uniform she had worn before. There was no way that the one she wore, the F-level combat uniform issued by the official, was too low. Mu Yao had only worn this combat uniform once, and now it looked like new on Mu Yunxi. Especially after the combat uniform was reshaped by the bracelet, the leather texture that fits closely to the skin raised Mu Yunxi's graceful figure to a higher level again. To be honest, she and Teacher Mu are standing together now, and they really look like a pair of sisters. Sisters visualization picture. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a girl in combat uniforms? Mu Yunxi saw Fang Cheng staring at her, and her face turned slightly red. The anger at this moment was more like shyness. Today, Fang Cheng slapped Suyaki on behalf of her mother. Although the slap was on Suyaki's face, it also hit her heart, making her heart tremble. Fang Cheng has really changed. He is completely different from the Fang Cheng she knew before, except for his voice. Of course, he is still as handsome as ever. It's just that this guy met the wrong person before, and met Suyaki, that green tea girl, so that no one in the school noticed that this guy was so handsome. Fang Cheng sat on the sofa and smiled slightly. I only found out today that combat uniforms can be controlled by bracelets. Who told you not to study hard in school? If you had gone to the training camp last time, the instructors would have taught you these things. This doesn't seem to have anything to do with studying hard, right? Humph, I don't want to bother with you. Then he pulled his mother and sat down opposite Fang Cheng. By the way, what's the matter with Zhang Xiaoyu? She's just a psychopath, why are you asking her? Do you have evidence to prove that she is a psychopath? Seeing Fang Cheng was stunned by the question, Mu Yunxi continued, you'd better be able to prove that she is a psychopath. I don't know how your relationship with the Lingqi Guild is, but you just joined the guild and probably don't know many people. If someone uses Zhang Xiaoyu to cause trouble, do you think you can stay in the Lingqi Guild? Are you saying that Suyaki will use her to retaliate against me? You think too highly of her, don't you? Mu Yunxi glared at him and said, it's not that I think highly of her, it's that you underestimate her. In this contract training, she is the only beast girl in the camp who has advanced to E-level, and you would never guess who her beastmaster is. Who? Shen Tujun, the 8th son of Yutang Group. Suyaki was born in a poor family, and the difference between her and Shen Tujun's status can be said to be a world of difference. Of course, with her S-level talent, she is worthy of Shen Tujun, but she is the only beast girl with S-level talent in the training camp, and all of them have better family conditions than her. But she was able to sign an intermediate contract with the other party in just 1 month. Is it possible without some means? Fang Cheng nodded. If Mu Yunxi hadn't said it today, he might have really underestimated that woman. Then Fang Cheng opened the bracelet and called Tang Li. The first thing Fang Cheng thought of to prove his innocence was campus surveillance, but he couldn't get that thing himself, so Sister Tang should be able to do it. Hello, Miss Tang, can you please do me a favor? You only call me when you have something to do. Why don't you think of me as your sister at other times? Aren't you afraid of disturbing you and Brother Wu? Come on, tell me what happened this time. I want to ask you to retrieve a surveillance video from No. 11 middle school for me. This shouldn't be difficult for you, right? Tang Li said unhappily. You just remembered to check the surveillance video now. What were you doing before? I have checked the surveillance video from No. 11 middle school for you, but unfortunately, the part that can prove that you are clear has been cut out. Fang Cheng was shocked. When did it happen? It was the day of the rookie competition. Zhu Guiying acted very quickly. It shouldn't have been deleted by Zhu Guiying. Although I didn't find the video you asked for, I watched the other time periods. She had never been to the monitoring room before me. If not her, then who could it be? Who cares who he is? It doesn't matter to me whether there is that video or not. Just put your mind at ease and stop thinking about it. Have a good rest with Sister Mu Yao tonight and prepare for tomorrow's City Youth competition. Don't let me down, do you hear me? Tang Li hung up the video call with a snap. Fang Cheng scratched his head awkwardly. Why did this little sister Tang not consider the occasion when she spoke? Didn't she see her daughter beside her? Hey, in the final analysis, I still have something to hide. As long as I have nothing to hide, there would be no hidden meaning in this sentence. I subconsciously looked at Mu Yao opposite. As a result, she also had something to hide. She lowered her head shyly and secretly glanced at Mu Yunxi next to her. Mu Yunxi glanced at Fang Cheng, then at her mother, and hurriedly picked up the mug on the table, using the action of drinking water to cover her face. It seems that she knows a lot. What should I do? Should I drive Fang Cheng away, or pretend that I didn't hear anything? But he is my mother's beastmaster after all. It seems that the contract level of the two of them is not low, and they have both successfully advanced. The taming value must have been maxed out once without my knowledge. If I chase Fang Cheng away now, will it seem like I am making a fuss and being pretentious? I promised Mom not to make trouble, and I promised Mom to me. And Fang Cheng doesn't seem to be that bad. He was quite manly when facing Suyaki today. Moreover, when he saw Suyaki, he was obviously furious, but he had to act calm. This shows that he is still a very shrewd person. His seemingly light words hit Suyaki's heart, and in the end, he also vented his anger. Well, he is quite handsome. Mu Yunxi's eyes jumped over the rim of the cup and secretly glanced at Fang Cheng. He is really handsome and capable. Mom is just an old cow eating young grass. Tisk, anyway, it's not Mom who is at a disadvantage, why should I care so much about him? Mu Yunxi, who finally figured it out, suddenly stood up and said under the astonished gaze of Fang Cheng and Mu Yao, well, I'm tired and will go back to my room first. Don't bother me, both of you. Mu Yao watched Mu Yunxi close the door, and she finally breathed a sigh of relief. What she worried about most was that her daughter didn't like Fang Cheng, and said something harsh to Fang Cheng, or did something to embarrass Fang Cheng. To put it bluntly, what she worried about most was that her daughter would break up the couple. Now it seems that her daughter is quite sensible, and her family of 3 will definitely live in harmony in the future. Just when Teacher Mu was looking forward to it, she heard Fang Cheng say, Teacher Mu, what did she mean when she told us not to disturb her just now? Huh, Teacher Mu was confused at first, then seemed to think of something, her face instantly turned red. Then Teacher Mu mustered up the courage to say to Fang Cheng, that little Fang will compete in the City Youth competition tomorrow, we should have a good rest today. Fang Cheng raised his butt, sat next to her, put his arm around her shoulders and said, Teacher Mu, do you know? Although Sister Xiao Tang doesn't care about Zhang Xiaoyu's matter, if I can't prove my innocence and let the guild headquarters know about it, I guess Sister Xiao Tang won't be able to protect me. Teacher Mu nodded. What should I do then? The reason why Xiao Tangji didn't care was because that matter was nothing compared to my value. Similarly, if the headquarters saw my value, they would not care about it either. What do you think? Teacher Mu nodded. That makes sense. So we have to improve our strength as soon as possible and strive to get good results in the City Youth competition, right? Teacher Mu nodded in agreement. Why don't we eat all the remaining star crystals now and try to break through to D level tonight, so that the chances of getting good results will be greater? Teacher Mu, what you said makes a lot of sense, but our taming value is not enough now. Ha! Teacher Mu looked at Fang Cheng in surprise. It turned out that after all this time, this guy was waiting for him here. This is not because. Teacher Mu wanted to say. It's not because of you, kid. You've been playing around lately. You're either using facial cleanser or applying a facial mask, or you're secretly digging a ditch behind my back. When I caught him, he still looked confused. Not because of what? Fang Cheng teased. Mu Yao lowered her head shyly and whispered, "Bad boy Fang, you ask even though you already know the answer." Fang Cheng finally showed his true colors and said with a smile, "Teacher Mu, the past is gone and there is no point in talking about it. It's only the last night, so let's increase the domestication value, shall we?" Mu Yao secretly glanced at Mu Yunshi's bedroom. Xiaoxi hasn't slept yet, what if we disturb her later? Will not. How could it not be possible? Ms. Mu rubbed his hands nervously, feeling his palms full of sweat. He hated himself for not doing his best. He knew he was playing tricks on him, but his heart was beating faster and faster. Then, let me go brush my teeth first. As soon as Teacher Mu stood up, Fang Cheng grabbed her by the waist. She was so scared that she wanted to scream, but when she thought of Xiaoxi coming back, she quickly covered her mouth. Then she punched Fang Cheng on the shoulder and stared at him shyly. Fang Cheng sneered, "Go back to your room first and I'll help you brush your teeth later." In Mu Yunshi's room, she sat on the bed with a pillow in her arms, listening to the noise outside the door. Her beautiful eyebrows were almost twisted into a ball. Until she heard the sound of the door closing outside, she said unhappily, "Fang Cheng, you fool, if you dare to let my mother down in the future, I will cut you into pieces." After sending Su Yaki home, Shen Tujun first went to the Lingqi Guild to confirm whether Fang Cheng had really entered the Lingqi Guild. This was a very incredible thing for him. As far as he knew, Fang Cheng's talent was very poor. If it was not so bad, Su Yaki would not have kicked him out. With the character of that woman and the talent of that boy, if it was a little better, that woman would keep him by her side like a dog. Moreover, he did not even graduate from high school, how could the Lingqi Guild accept him? As a result, he really saw the boy's personal information on the member column of the Lingqi Guild. Fang Cheng, 18 years old, talent level SS level, talent level SS level. Shen Tujun wiped his eyes and looked again. Yes, it was indeed SS level, one level higher than his own talent. No wonder Su Yaki, that woman, was so angry. It turned out that the cooked duck flew away, and she was angry that she had made a mistake. In Shintu Jun's opinion, if this guy hadn't provoked Mu Yunshi, he would have really wanted to spare his life. With his relationship with Su Yaki, as long as he used it properly, he would definitely become that woman's weakness in the future. But he should never, ever, have the idea of hitting on Mu Yunshi. No matter who dares to hit on my woman, I will make him regret coming into this world. After Shintu Jun came out of the Lingqi Guild, he rushed to the school without stopping. Fang Cheng could not enter the school's monitoring room, but as the 8th young master of the Shintu family, he could enter whenever he wanted. The security guards watching the surveillance not only did not dare to stop him, but also had to bow and scrape to him. He wanted to check the surveillance footage of Fang Cheng molesting Zhang Xiaoyu that day. He didn't know that this matter was actually fabricated, and he thought it was Fang Cheng's evidence of guilt. At the Lingqi Guild, he learned that Fang Cheng would represent the Lingqi Guild tomorrow to participate in this year's city youth competition. Before the game starts, this evidence will be released in front of everyone, and the Lingqi Guild will not be able to protect him even if it wants to. When he is kicked out of the Lingqi Guild, what's the use of an orphan from a slum, no matter how talented he is? Can't they control him however they want? As a result, more than a dozen security guards searched for the whole night, but couldn't find the surveillance footage. That record is gone. How is that possible? By the way, besides you, has anyone else come to the monitoring room recently? The security captain thought for a moment and said, Master Shintu, I remember that Teacher Zhu came here about half a month ago. Zhu Guiying. Yes, it is Teacher Zhu Guiying. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Shen Tujun was about to run to find Zhu Guiying, but was stopped by the security captain. Mr. Shintu, are you going to see Teacher Zhu? If so, she may not be at home. What do you mean? The security captain scratched the back of his head, looking at Shintu Jun with a cunning look in his eyes, and then lowered his voice and said, this is about personal privacy, I'm sorry I can't tell Master Shintu directly. After saying this, he rubbed his fingers in front of Shintu Jun seemingly casually, but in fact deliberately. Shintu Jun understood what he meant. Didn't he just want benefits? So he opened the bracelet and transferred 10,000 Dragon Country coins to the security captain, which was almost 2 months' salary for the security captain. Can I tell it now? The security captain looked at his bracelet and immediately lowered his voice and said, Master Shintu, it's not that I don't want to tell it, but if people know that I said it, I might lose my job. Shintu Jun glared at him coldly. He was really greedy. Aren't you afraid that you will earn the money but not spend it? He immediately transferred another 200,000 to him. Can I tell it now? The security captain took a look at the transfer record, and immediately smiled. He leaned close to Shintu Jun's ear and said, Teacher Zhu is in the principal's office and hasn't come out yet. How do you know? The security captain did not explain, but just looked back at the huge holographic screen behind him, and Shintu Jun immediately understood. Is there surveillance in the principal's office? There is one in the principal's office, but not in the secret room. There is also a secret room. It should be in the bathroom. As for how to get in, Master Shintu has to figure it out himself. Soon Shintu Jun came to the bathroom in the principal's office and turned on the video function on his bracelet. It was easy to find the secret room in the middle of the night. Just follow the sound. Some sounds may not be heard during the day, but at night in this cramped bathroom, it's like turning on an amplifier. I pushed the wall of the bathroom with my hand, and the secret door was unlocked. Oh, gosh, I really did not lose out on the 200,000 I spent. The secret room was not big, but it was small but complete. There were all kinds of taming tools, many of which were high-tech equipment that even Shen Tujun had never seen. I'll go, petrified the two people who were taming animals in the secret room. After a long time, Principal Cao Jialong finally reacted and quickly pulled a towel for himself. As for Zhu Guiying, she even wanted to die now, because she could not move now and could only stare blankly. Student Shen too, why are you here? Cao Jialong said stutteringly. I came to see Teacher Zhu for something. Cao Jialong then remembered Zhu Guiying and quickly picked up the bracelet, trying to put her down from the circular force field device. However, Shen Tujun stopped him and said, No, I'm just asking this question, it's quite interesting. Mr. Shintu, if you have anything to say, can we talk outside? No, I'm going to say it here, what can you do to me? You, what do you mean by, you? If you don't dare to kill me, then go and die. Seeing Cao Jialong wanting to kill him but being helpless, Shen Tujun smiled coldly and came to Zhu Guiying. Zhu Guiying wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into, but her body was imprisoned by the force field and she could not move. She could only lower her head in shame. Teacher Zhu, I have a question for you. Shintu Jun thought that Zhu Guiying had taken the missing surveillance video. As for her purpose, other than wanting to get benefits from Fang Cheng, Shintu Jun could not think of anything else. After all, Fang Cheng, that loser, is now a member of Lingqi Guild, one of the 3 major guilds in Longguo. His meteoric rise is just around the corner. But after a conversation, it turned out that Zhu Guiying originally wanted to take the surveillance video, but she wanted to destroy the evidence. But when she came to the monitoring room, the surveillance record had disappeared. So Shintu Jun learned from her that the story of Fang Cheng molesting Zhang Xiaoyu was completely nonsense. It was Su Yaqi who wanted to get rid of Fang Cheng and deliberately framed him. Is everything you said true? Zhu Guiying nodded wildly. It's absolutely true. If you don't believe it, you can ask Zhang Xiaoyu. Shintu Jun touched his chin and looked back at Cao Jialong, who felt uneasy when he looked at him. What else do you want to do? I would like to ask you to do me a small favor and accuse Fang Cheng in tomorrow's city youth competition so that justice can be served and the innocent victim, Zhang Xiaoyu, can be vindicated. Are you crazy? This is nothing. What evidence can we use to accuse him? Moreover, he is still a member of the 3 major guilds, the Lingqi Guild. Do you know the consequences of falsely accusing him? Shen Tujun smiled coldly and clicked the playback button on the bracelet. When Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong saw the playback screen, they were dumbfounded again. Delete it for me right now. Before Cao Jialong finished speaking, Someone rushed over to grab Shen Tujun's bracelet. Shen Tujun raised his hand, turned around beautifully and dodged, smiling. Sorry, my hand slipped and it was uploaded to the internet just now. You, don't worry, as long as you do me this small favor, I promise that no one will know about your affair. Seeing that things had come to this point, Cao Jialong could only take a deep breath and said, Xiaoying has already said that Suyaki framed Fang Cheng in this matter, and Zhang Xiaoyu also admitted that Fang Cheng did not molest her at all, he was just knocked unconscious by her. You want me to slander him, you have to produce some decent evidence, right? Shen Tujun smiled and said, this is your business, I can't control it, anyway, I want to see the results tomorrow. After that, Shen Tujun yawned and said, it's getting late, I won't disturb you too. By the way, do you want to know how I found this place? How did you find it? You can only blame yourself for being stupid. Don't you know that there are surveillance cameras everywhere in the school? Some people watch the surveillance cameras every day, how could they not know about your little thing? Shen Tujun left the school and ran into the security captain at the door again. Master Shentu, is this all over? Shentu snorted coldly. He really didn't need to bother with a dead man. The 200,000 yuan would be the resettlement fee for your wife and children. As for whether the two guys could successfully accuse him tomorrow, Shen Tujun didn't care at all. He just wanted to make a big fuss about this matter so that all the big guys present tomorrow would know about it. It didn't matter whether Fang Cheng had molested Zhang Xiaoyu or not. Unless he could produce evidence to prove his innocence, the bad nature of human nature would make everyone choose to believe that this matter was true. Would the Lingqi Guild still keep him then? They might just wish he would die. In the morning, Teacher Mu prepared breakfast, which was mostly snacks that Mu Yunxi liked. As for Fang Cheng's taste, to be honest, she really didn't know. Because she stewed sea cucumbers for Fang Cheng every day, or kidneys, leeks and lamb ribs. Fang Cheng finally had a different breakfast today, thanks to Mu Yunxi. Xiao Shi, this is a soup dumpling that your mother made especially for you, try it. Teacher Mu picked up one for Mu Yunxi and one for Fang Cheng. Xiao Fang, try it too. Fang Cheng looked at the dumplings on the plate. The wrapper was as thin as wonton wrapper. It was a mess when placed on the plate and a lump when picked up because it was full of soup. Teacher Mu, I thought you only knew how to stew sea cucumber and millet porridge, but I didn't expect you could also make soup dumplings. This is a technical job. How do you put the soup in? This is simple. Just add some jelly when making the filling. So that's how it is. Teacher Mu, you have solved my doubts that have been puzzled for many years. After saying that, Fang Cheng glanced at Mu Yunxi and found that the girl had a pair of dark circles under her eyes and was absent-minded while eating breakfast. Teacher Mu also noticed her abnormality and asked with concern, what's wrong, Xiaoxi, don't you have an appetite? No, never mind, I'll go wash my face first. Teacher Mu looked at her from behind and muttered, what's wrong with that kid? Didn't she just wash her face? Fang Cheng smiled and said, do you think it's possible that she didn't sleep well last night? Teacher Mu didn't know what she was thinking of. A blush rose on her face, which was more beautiful than the morning glow outside the window. Then she lowered her voice and said uncertainly, this is not possible, right? I also think it's impossible. We turned on silent mode yesterday, so it's impossible to wake her up, unless. Unless what? Fang Cheng smiled slightly. I won't tell you. Just when Teacher Mu wanted to continue asking, Mu Yunxi came back, so he had to give up. Mu Yunxi ate breakfast absent-mindedly, but Fang Cheng ate it quite comfortably. After living with Teacher Mu for so long, it was the first time he knew that she could actually make exquisite snacks. She should not be from Yucheng. Because the people of Yucheng prefer spicy taste, few people like to eat sweets, and ordinary people can't make such exquisite snacks. It seems that the arrival of Mu Yunxi is not useless, at least it helps improve his meals. After breakfast, Teacher Mu and Mu the school beauty also changed into combat uniforms. They really looked like a pair of twin sisters. This is the benefit of longevity. In this world, once you are over 20 years old, it is difficult to tell your age from your appearance. Xiao Shi, do you have a team for the city youth competition this time? Teacher Mu asked. Mu Yunxi shook her head. It's just a formality anyway, I don't bother to waste my energy. For those who have just come out of the contract training camp, this competition is actually a way for them to see the world, or it is part of the training camp. How about you team up with mom? That way it will be easier for us to take care of you. Mu Yunxi subconsciously looked at Fang Cheng. Fang Cheng, who was adjusting his collar in front of the mirror, felt as if someone was looking at him, and subconsciously turned around to look at the two of them. Mu Yunxi panicked and said unhappily, "Whatever, it's just a formality anyway." Teacher Mu did not notice the strangeness in her daughter's eyes. When Fang Cheng turned around, she thought Fang Cheng was looking at her and minded bringing along her daughter, a burden. Xiao Fang, Fang Cheng smiled and interrupted Teacher Mu, "It's okay. When we can't take care of her anymore, it won't be too late for her to withdraw from the competition." "Yeah, thank you. Why are you being so polite to me? She is your daughter, and also my classmate." Mu Yunxi looked at Fang Cheng suspiciously. Did this guy almost let the cat out of the bag just now? In the slums, Su Yaki got into Shintu Jun's luxury car in front of everyone's astonished eyes. "Xiaoqi has good news for you. Today I can ruin the reputation of Fang Cheng," Shintu Jun said confidently while driving. Su Yaki glanced at him and said disdainfully, "Are you sure?" "Of course, are you still not confident in my work? When have I ever let you down? Tisk, haven't you disappointed me enough times?" Don't mention those things, okay? Besides, you were almost unconscious back then, have you forgotten?" "Shut up. It's not just your credit that made you win the first time. What are you so proud of?" Okay, I won't say anything." Shintu Jun concentrated on driving. "Judging from your appearance, you seem very confident this time." "That's for sure, let me show you something good first." After saying that, Shintu Jun sent the video he shot last night to Su Yaki. Su Yaki clicked on the bracelet suspiciously and said in surprise, "Why are you showing this to me? Do you want to try it too?" Shintu Jun touched his nose awkwardly. "Xiaoqi, I want to say, we have such a handle in our hands, do you think those two guys dare not buy our lives?" Su Yaki then looked at the people in the video carefully, and suddenly said excitedly, "Do you want Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong to expose Fang Cheng at the competition? My Xiaoqi is so smart that you guessed it before I even said it." "Humph, stop flattering me." Shintu Jun smiled slightly and said, "I heard from Zhu Guiying that it was you who ordered Zhang Xiaoyu to be molested by that boy. Why are you jealous? What's there to be jealous about? I just want to ask someone to do this next time, find someone more reliable." Fang Cheng didn't do anything at all, but was knocked unconscious by Zhang Xiaoyu. If it was someone I asked, he would definitely make sure that the evidence was solid. What does it matter if it's true or not? As long as we can make a scene at the competition today, half of the work will be done. Why only half? Su Yaki sneered, at most 70%, no more. Don't forget that Fang Cheng was specially recruited by the Lingqi Guild, so he must have abilities that the Lingqi Guild values. Although it is a shameful thing for him to molest his classmates, if the Lingqi Guild values his abilities more, what you have done will become meaningless. That makes sense, but what should the other half do? How confident are you that you can disqualify him from the competition by using this incident? Shintu Jun smiled slightly and said disdainfully, "Unless he can produce evidence to prove his innocence this time, he can forget about participating in the competition." Su Yaki nodded. "That's good. You haven't told me what your other half does yet." "This is not simple. As far as I know, he was specially recruited by the Lingqi Guild, but it was only the Yucheng branch's business. This time, the Yucheng branch sent him to participate in the competition, most likely to prove to the headquarters that the boy was qualified to be specially recruited. Then we won't give him a chance to perform, and people won't see his achievements. Add to that this scandal that everyone knows about. Do you think the guild headquarters will still let him stay in the guild? That makes sense. Yucheng is a small place after all. That guy is qualified to be specially recruited in Yucheng, but he may not be qualified in other places. As long as we magnify this scandal infinitely, the headquarters may not be impressed by his ability. That depends on your ability. Don't worry, I will definitely make that guy notorious today." The entrance to the city youth tournament was set up in the beast taming square. Thousands of participants gathered here, waiting for the entrance to open. The stage in the center of the square was changed into a rostrum today. The Lord of Yucheng, the heads of various departments, and celebrities were all present today. According to the tradition of Dragon Country, whenever there is such an important occasion, the top 2 leaders will stand up and say a few words. But today, the lord of the city had just opened his mouth, and Cao Jialong, who was sitting in the corner of the rostrum, stood up and interrupted his speech, not giving the lord of the city face at all. Chapter 51. While the city lord was giving an impassioned speech, Cao Jialong was still struggling in his mind, wondering whether he should do as Shintu Jun said. Just then, his hand beeped, and someone sent him a video. It was the scene of him and Zhu Guiying not going home after work last night, hiding in the office to play games. The city lord was speaking in front, and you show me this. At that time, Cao Jialong stood up suddenly as if he had a hemorrhoid burst. Because he was too excited, he knocked over the teacup on the table to the ground with a crisp sound, and it was difficult for others to ignore him. The city lord Yu Jianming frowned, turned around and looked at Cao Jialong, who was like a silly bird. Principal Cao, do you have any opinion on what you said to me? No, that's not what I meant. So you have hemorrhoids and can't sit still. Cao Jialong was in a dilemma. If he didn't do what Shintu Jun said, he and Zhu Guiying would be shown on the big screens around the square. So he gritted his teeth, stamped his feet, looked at Yu Jianming and said, I think someone is not qualified to participate in this city youth competition. Yu Jianming's face suddenly turned dark. You suddenly stood up, just to tell me this. Why did you say it when I was giving a speech to the citizens? Are you deliberately trying to slap me in the face and embarrass me? Who? Yu Jianming said, suppressing his displeasure. Fang Cheng from the Lingqi Guild. Yu Jianming said coldly, go on. Cao Jialong felt his throat dry, swallowed his saliva and said, he was originally a student of our school, but was expelled from our school for molesting a classmate while in school. A person with such a corrupt moral character is not qualified to participate. That's it. After Yu Jianming finished speaking, he realized that he had spoken out of turn. If this kind of thing was said in private, it would not be worth mentioning compared to today's business. But now, in front of all the people in the city, it was a bit inappropriate for him as the lord of a city to say this. So he quickly changed the topic and said, after the competition is over, I will definitely order the people from the Jing'an division to investigate this matter thoroughly. Now you sit down first. No, Lord City Lord. If it was just ordinary indecent assault, I would definitely not bother you. It's just that what Fang Cheng did this time was really too bad. Not only did it cause great psychological trauma to Zhang Xiaoyu, but according to the doctor, it is also very likely to cause her lifelong infertility, completely depriving the child of the right to be a mother. Yu Jianming frowned. What the hell are you talking about? One moment the child, the next moment the mother. But in front of the citizens, he couldn't get angry, so he could only go along with what he said. Is this true? At this moment, Zhu Guiying rushed to the stage like crazy and said, Lord City Lord, it's true, I'm their class teacher, I saw this with my own eyes. Since you saw it with your own eyes, why didn't you stop it? I was across from their building at the time, and by the time I ran over, it was too late. You don't know how tragic the scene was. Thousands of ordinary people in the audience were talking about what they said. So, that little beast named Fang Cheng is really a piece of shit. Why does this name sound so familiar to me? Is he the guy who made a splash in the Lingqi Guild's rookie competition last time? At that time, Mr. Zhu posted a video online to accuse him of his crimes, but not many people believed it. Later, those videos mysteriously disappeared. I guess there's a lot of water here, otherwise Mr. Zhu and Principal Cao wouldn't come to accuse that guy in such an occasion. Although the method is a little inappropriate, it must be said that teachers and principals who are willing to uphold justice for their students are indeed admirable. Mu Yunxi looked at Fang Cheng unhappily in the crowd. What are you looking at me for? How come you're not ashamed at all? Xiaoxi. Mu Yao frowned and asked. How come I said something wrong? Mu Yunxi also wanted to say, if you want to molest someone, can't you molest a pretty one? Why is your taste so bad? Fang Cheng signaled Mu Yao to calm down and said to Mu Yunxi, you know Zhang Xiaoyu, do you think my taste is so bad? Mu Yunxi was speechless for a moment. With Zhang Xiaoyu's behavior, all the boys in the class would feel sick when they saw her. Who would be blind to molest her? Mu Yunxi didn't believe it, but for some reason, she felt a little angry. You can't just stand there and watch the show, can you? Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong were talking about you, the culprit. How can you act like nothing happened? The victim hasn't come on stage yet. What's the difference between me going up and cursing at a shrew now? In Fang Cheng's opinion, although he had no evidence to prove his innocence, the other party also had no evidence to prove that he had molested Zhang Xiaoyu. Now both sides were relying on their mouths. So the only breakthrough, or the key to the victory or defeat of this argument, was Zhang Xiaoyu. As long as she could make her words contradictory, or make people feel that her words were full of loopholes, then the rumor would be self-defeating. Bullshit. On the podium, Wu Zhang suddenly stood up and said, "You said my people were molested. Do you have any evidence, old man?" Cao Jialong glanced at Wu Zhang and said in a cold voice, "The evidence has been destroyed by your Lingqi guild. Where can I find evidence? But fortunately, you dare not kill people to silence them. Do you want to hear what classmate Zhang Xiaoyu has to say?" After that, he winked at Zhu Guiying in the audience. Zhu Guiying looked behind her and saw that Zhang Xiaoyu had not squeezed out yet. She was immediately furious. "If you mess up this matter today, and if the matter between me and the principal is exposed, I will skin you alive." Zhu Guiying rushed into the crowd and grabbed Zhang Xiaoyu out. "Go ahead, tell us boldly in front of everyone today how that little beast Fang Cheng assaulted you." Zhang Xiaoyu was regretting it so much that before dawn today, Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong rushed to her house, dragged her out of her sleep, and forced her to make a false confession. Cao Jialong also knew that when neither side had any evidence, the key to success or failure would lie with Zhang Xiaoyu, so whether she could speak well or not would be the key to the success or failure of the matter. When Zhang Xiaoyu heard that she was going to accuse Fang Cheng at the city youth tournament, her heart was numb. This was originally a slanderous matter. If it was just posting some small videos on the internet, it would be fine. Now she was asked to lie in front of the city lord and all the big guys in Yucheng. She really didn't have the courage. She didn't have the courage, but Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong gave her the courage. They beat her to death with a belt and mixed doubles, and they didn't believe that you, a cheap skin, would not obey. Now her clothes are. After taking it, it was all bruised and purple. She regretted why she listened to Su Yaqi and framed Fang Cheng. If she had not agreed, why would there be so many problems now? And because of this, her parents were completely disappointed in her. This morning, she was beaten by Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong so hard that she cried for her parents. The whole building must have heard it, but they did not show up. At this time, Zhang Xiaoyu looked hopeless, just like Cao Jialong said, her heart was greatly traumatized. Before she even opened her mouth, she had won a lot of sympathy for her. Yu Jianming, who originally wanted to send this matter to Jing'an Division, saw her pitiful appearance and subconsciously slowed down his tone and said, "Don't be afraid, classmate Zhang Xiaoyu, the city lord uncle will definitely take care of it for you today. Tell me what happened." Zhang Xiaoyu was like a piece of wood now. Zhu Guiying pushed her and she stammered. "Zhu, what teacher Zhu said was all true. Fang Cheng molested me. Not only did he molest me, he also beat me. He even hit me with a stick." The more Zhang Xiaoyu spoke, the more excited she became. The more she spoke, the more horrible it became, as if she had given up everything. "I don't want to say this anymore. Why do you keep forcing me to say it over and over again? Why?" The last weak roar was so heartbreaking. The camera gave a close-up of Zhang Xiaoyu. Now the holographic screens around the square showed her desperate and helpless look. The square was terribly quiet. Everyone clenched their fists, wishing they could catch Fang Cheng and chop him into pieces. Su Yaqi and Shen Tujun watched all this, feeling relieved. The effect seemed to be better than expected. Fang Cheng was finished this time. Su Yaqi's eyes were full of pride. She finally didn't have to worry about him making a comeback. It seemed that my judgment was right. How could he compare with Shen Tujun with his poorness? Shen Tujun was in the crowd, using that vicious look stared at Fang Cheng. "Do you think you can touch my woman? If you snatch my woman from me, I will make you regret coming into this world." Yu Jianming on the stage turned around and looked at Wu Zhang. He had a good personal relationship with Wu Zhang. Although Wu Zhang looked like a fool, he was very loyal. Besides, his wife was really beautiful and could cook delicious dishes. He didn't want to make things difficult for Wu Zhang unless it was absolutely necessary. But now he was in a dilemma. Just when he was about to speak, he saw Wu Zhang looking at Zhou Zhanyang unhappily. Old Zhou, if you don't stand up and say something, what I promised you will be invalid from now on. Zhou Zhanyang is the director of Yucheng Education Department. He and Wu Zhang have nothing to do with each other, but from his tone just now, the two of them are not only familiar with each other, but also seem to have reached some kind of deal. Not only Yu Jianming was puzzled, but Tang Li, who was sitting next to Wu Zhang, was also puzzled. What kind of promise did her man make to others behind her back? Zhou Zhanyang sighed and stood up with a very reluctant look. When Wu Zhang saw him like this, he was unhappy again. Okay, don't say any more, it makes you seem like I'm forcing you. When Zhou Zhanyang heard this, he immediately became energetic and hurriedly said, Don't, old Wu, didn't we agree on it? You can't go back on your word now. Now everyone is even more curious. What are they talking about? And what does this have to do with the current situation? Cao Jialong and Zhu Guiying were also stunned. What did that guy mean by bringing up the director of the Education and Education Bureau? Can he call a hen a duck just by his mouth? Or does he want to use the director to pressure us? If it were in private, whoever has a higher position would definitely have the right, but now in front of so many people, whoever dares to show favoritism will die. Su Yaqi suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart, and Shen Tujun comforted her, Don't worry, the only surveillance video that can prove Fang Cheng's innocence has been deleted. And the way they look now, it is obvious that they have reached some kind of deal. Even if he says something wonderful later, no one will believe it. At this time, Zhou Zhanyang on the stage cleared his throat and said, Maybe some people present don't know me yet. Let me introduce myself again. I am the director of our Yucheng Education and Education Bureau. My name is Zhou Zhanyang. I can guarantee with my personality that Cao Jialong and the others are lying. As soon as these words came out, the square exploded. Just like what Shen Tujun said, no one believed what he said. Fang Cheng was from the Lingqi Guild, and Wu Zhang was the president of the Yucheng branch. Everyone heard what he had just said to Zhou Zhanyang. The two of them had obviously reached some kind of unspeakable deal. You say they are lying, so they are lying. Do you think we are all fools? Zhou Zhanyang helplessly stretched out his hand and said, Everyone stop arguing and listen to me. I'm not talking nonsense. I have evidence. What evidence do you have? Why don't you show it to me? If you can't show it to me, I think you should not be the director of the education department anymore. What kind of bullshit evidence is this? I don't believe it. Zhou Zhanyang saw that the crowd was so angry that they didn't listen to him at all, so he had to tap on the bracelet a few times, and then swiped his finger from the bracelet to the holographic screens around the square. All the holographic screens immediately played the missing surveillance video. From Zhang Xiaoyu calling Fang Cheng out of the classroom door, to her beating Fang Cheng with a stick in the corridor until his head was bleeding, to her shouting, molest, to the people around her, everything was recorded clearly. Didn't you say the surveillance video was deleted? How did it end up in his hands? Su Yaqi was so angry. Fang Cheng was about to be defeated, but Cheng Yaojin showed up. Shen Tujun was also dumbfounded. How did the surveillance video end up in Zhou Zhanyang's hands? He was the director of the education department. What did he care about? Not only did he think so, Cao Jialong and Zhu Guiying also thought so. He had nothing to do with this matter from beginning to end. What did he care about? When Zhu Guiying found out that the surveillance video was lost, she couldn't think of Zhou Zhanyang. Zhang Xiaoyu didn't react much, because she was already ashamed. If she hadn't been afraid of being beaten to death by Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong, she wouldn't have come here. She wanted to die, but there are many ways to die, and being beaten to death was undoubtedly the most painful in her eyes. Now when she saw someone telling the truth, she felt relieved, and no one would force her to lie anymore. At this moment, someone suddenly held her shoulder. She subconsciously looked back and was stunned. She thought it was Zhu Guiying, but she never expected that the person who put his hand on her shoulder was Fang Cheng, whom she had always slandered. Fang Cheng was actually, I feel that this woman is quite disgusting, but the matter cannot end here. Holding back the nausea, he slowly said in his magnetic voice, you must be suffering during this period, so many people forced you to lie. This sentence instantly resonated with Zhang Xiaoyu, and tears fell one by one like beads with a broken string. Zhu Guiying next to her suddenly became anxious. Although Zhou Zhanyang's surveillance video could prove Fang Cheng's innocence, as long as Zhang Xiaoyu did not make random accusations, then this matter had nothing to do with her. At most, she mistakenly believed the student's lies, but on the other hand, if she could take a student's words seriously, she would still be a good teacher who cared about her students and a model of teacher ethics. Fang Cheng, what do you want to do? Stay away from my students. Before Zhu Guiying finished her words, she had already pounced forward like a mad dog, but Teacher Mu grabbed her hair, pulled her back hard, and then kneeled down to grab her and pin her to the ground. The whole set of movements was so smooth. You. With a snap, Mu Yao slapped him in the face, taking back what she wanted to say. Before Xiao Feng tells you to speak, you'd better be honest. Fang Cheng smiled slightly and said to Zhang Xiaoyu, see, she is not that scary. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to slander you, really, I didn't want to do this, but shit, it's still possible. Seeing that Zhang Xiaoyu was stuck in the middle of her words, Fang Cheng had to patiently say, I forgive you. In fact, both of us are victims, but we can't let the people who hurt you go unpunished, right? If the matter stopped here, the two guys would at most be convicted of false accusations, which was not what Fang Cheng wanted. Zhang Xiaoyu cried so hard that she subconsciously wanted to lean on Fang Cheng's shoulder. Fang Cheng would not let her take advantage of him, so he pulled Mu Yunxi over to block him. Mu Yunxi glared at him, but Fang Cheng pretended not to see it and winked at her, asking her to quickly guide Zhang Xiaoyu to tell the truth. Mu Yunxi was completely unprepared and did not know how to start. But lying on Mu Yunxi's shoulder made Zhang Xiaoyu feel unprecedentedly at ease and feel that she had someone to rely on. So she sobbed and said, it was Teacher Zhu and the principal who forced me. If I didn't agree, they would beat me. They really beat me to death. After saying that, Zhang Xiaoyu rolled up her sleeves. Her arms were covered with bruises. When she opened her clothes, her neck was also covered with bruises. It was obvious that she was beaten with a belt. The scars were still fresh, most likely from the morning. So she did not lie, she was forced, but what does it have to do with me? Were you also forced by them at the beginning? The camera gave her a close-up again. Now the holographic screen in the square was full of her scarred appearance, which made everyone in the crowd, young and old, male and female, indignant. It was a pity that her appearance was really not flattering. If she could be half as beautiful as Mu Yunxi, plus her experience, it is estimated that all the men in the field would rush out regardless of everything to vent their anger on her. Fang Cheng felt that this was not a good idea. According to the usual practice, Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong would definitely be sent to the Jing'an division in the end, and then they would use their connections to get released after the storm had passed. Is there such a cheap thing in the world? Anyway, Fang Cheng would be the first one to refuse. Suddenly, Mu Yunxi was startled by Fang Cheng's voice. Shameful, beast, scumbag who is unworthy of being a teacher, don't you have children of your own? This sentence made those who had children present feel a sharp twitch in their hearts. If it was my child, I would fight those two scumbags even if it meant sacrificing my own life. If this was my child, I would make those two scumbags regret coming into this world. Then Fang Cheng continued to raise his voice. She is still a child, how can you two scumbags do this? Scumbags, look at her body, is there any good meat on her? Yu Jianming on the stage couldn't help but sigh secretly at this time, thinking that he was not doing a good job as the city lord. Such a devilish principal and teacher appeared under his rule. He actually didn't know about it until now. If he had known it one day earlier, the child would not have been beaten like this by them. Fang Cheng saw Yu Jianming's reaction, and immediately said to Cao Jialong, who was sweating profusely on the stage, as the culprit, shouldn't you come down and apologize to this child? Everyone on the stage subconsciously looked at Cao Jialong. He was already sweating profusely, and under the gaze of everyone, he twitched violently and shook like a sieve. How did things suddenly turn out like this? I should not have listened to that fool Shen Tujun and helped him to deal with Fang Cheng. Now that Fang Cheng has not been dealt with, he has shot himself in the foot. No, he is the mastermind, and I am in trouble now, but he can't stay out of it. Thinking of this, he suddenly raised his head and looked for Shen Tujun in the crowd. At this moment, someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, "Come down and apologize." A stone stirs up 1,000 waves, and the crowd began to echo loudly, asking Cao Jialong to come down and apologize to Zhang Xiaoyu. Fang Cheng didn't need to look back to know that the person who took the lead in asking for an apology was Shen Tujun. He was Su Yaqi's beastmaster. If Su Yaqi wanted to retaliate against him, he couldn't help. And with Cao Jialong's identity, if no one forced him, would he risk offending the city lord and expose this matter? To put it bluntly, no matter whether he was unlucky today or not, the city lord had already been offended by him. With Cao Jialong's experience, he couldn't be ignorant of such human relationships. The only possibility was that he was forced. Su Yaqi, who could force Cao Jialong to be like this, didn't have such ability, but as the 8th young master of the Shintu family, there must be. And the direction from which the voice just came was the direction where Shen Tujun and Su Yaqi were. In Fang Cheng's opinion, the reason why he made a fuss at this time was because he was afraid that Cao Jialong would bite him. This was also what Fang Cheng wanted. If he didn't make a fuss, how could he kill those two scumbags just by relying on Zhang Xiaoyu's appearance? Especially that Zhu Guiying, who has framed him again and again. If he doesn't teach her a lesson, then what's the difference between him and the coward of the original owner? If he wants to solve the problem once and for all, he must first get these two scumbags together. Otherwise, one will be on the stage and the other will be off the stage, and at most one of them will die. Yu Jianming turned his head and looked at Cao Jialong, his eyes full of hatred, which made people shudder. Cao Jialong, who was still looking for Shen Tujun in the crowd, was startled. Faced with the hateful eyes around him, he could only step down and apologize to Zhang Xiaoyu. Fang Cheng saw it and smiled coldly, and said to Zhang Xiaoyu, "You see, so many people are helping you, just do whatever you want in your heart. If you don't take advantage of now, you will have no chance in the future." Zhang Xiaoyu looked bewildered, but Mu Yunxi suddenly turned around and looked at Fang Cheng in surprise, always feeling that there was something wrong with what Fang Cheng had just said. Zhang Xiaoyu, who realized it belatedly, finally reacted. At least she was not too stupid, otherwise she would have to waste her words again, which would go against her original intention of staying out of it. In the morning, Zhang Xiaoyu felt that Cao Jialong and Zhu Guiying were two demons who could scare her to death, but now there are so many people standing behind her, what is she afraid of? Just like Fang Cheng said, I can do anything to them now, such as let them taste the feeling of being whipped by a belt. As soon as Cao Jialong stepped down from the rostrum, Zhang Xiaoyu pounced on him like a mad dog. Everything will turn into the opposite when it reaches its extreme, and the same is true for fear. As long as people are not scared to death, human nature will change drastically, not to mention that there are so many people backing her up now. How afraid Zhang Xiaoyu was of these two people at the beginning, how crazy she is now. Before Cao Jialong could react, Zhang Xiaoyu scratched 3 bloody marks on his face. The terrible thing was that he didn't dare to fight back. How could he not dare to fight back? How could Zhang Xiaoyu kill him alone? So Fang Cheng signaled Teacher Mu to let go of Zhu Guiying. As expected, Zhu Guiying did not disappoint him. After being bitten by Zhang Xiaoyu, she subconsciously pushed her to the ground. The opportunity came. Fang Cheng looked back at Shen Tujun. You must seize this opportunity. Those two people must not be allowed to live. This is what Su Yaqi said to Shen Tujun. Even if she didn't say it, Shen Tujun thought so in his heart. As the 8th young master of the Shintu family, his father taught him to cherish his feathers since he was a child, so how could he be involved in such a scandal? When he saw Zhang Xiaoyu being pushed to the ground, he couldn't help but feel happy. The opportunity has come. That scum actually dared to fight back. Do you think we are all dead? Kill him. Zhang Xiaoyu was pushed to the ground, which was a fuse, further increasing the anger in the hearts of the people. Shen Tujun's words were the spark that ignited the gunpowder barrel. The angry crowd finally exploded and rushed forward. Fang Cheng hurriedly pulled Mu Yunxi and Mu Yao aside. When the people on the stage reacted, Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong had already been drowned by the angry crowd. The crackling sound of fists and feet made Fang Chengdu unable to hear the screams of the two. At this moment, Zhang Yu suddenly ran out of the crowd. When Fang Cheng saw her, he subconsciously wanted to step back. What does this woman want to do? Fang Cheng, I have a stomachache. If you have a stomachache, go see a gynecologist or anorectal doctor. Why are you looking at me? See a doctor immediately. That's too late. While Fang Cheng was confused, Zhang Xiaoyu leaned close to his ear and whispered a few words. In order to make her obedient, Cao Jialong had given her something, saying it was a nano bomb. Fang Cheng was shocked and quickly looked at her with his spiritual pupil. There was only 1 minute and 50 seconds left in the countdown of her life. Fang Cheng quickly grabbed Zhang Xiaoyu's hand and said, "It's really too late to see a doctor now. Do you believe me?" "I believe." "That's good, you should go find Shen Tujun as soon as possible, he must have a way, because he arranged all this." Zhang Xiaoyu looked confused. What does this have to do with Shen Tujun? Fang Cheng said unhappily. "Don't dawdle, you should go find Shen Tujun as soon as possible, he is over there, go quickly." After that, he kicked Zhang Xiaoyu out. Now most people have rushed to the rostrum, and there are fewer people in the square, which can be seen at a glance. Zhang Xiaoyu is also at a loss now, and can't think so much. Seeing Fang Cheng pointed out a clear way for her, she subconsciously rushed to Shen Tujun. As for whether it has anything to do with Shen Tujun, what does it have to do with Fang Cheng? Fang Cheng just wants to kill Shen Tujun. Mu Yao and Mu Yunxi looked at Zhang Xiaoyu's back with confusion on their faces. What happened to Xiao Fang? Fang Cheng leaned close to Mu Yao's ear and said something. Mu Yunxi, who was standing next to him, tilted her ear and didn't hear clearly, but her mother blushed and said unhappily after listening, This is too inhumane, isn't it?" Mu Yunxi was even more confused. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "Children, stop asking questions." Mu Yunxi was already very curious, and when she heard her mother say that, she immediately felt unhappy. "I am the same age as Fang Cheng, I am a child, then what is Fang Cheng?" Mu Yao was so angry. This girl Xiao Shi seemed to be talking about Fang Cheng, but in fact, she was talking about herself. Isn't it shameful for an old cow to eat young grass? Fang Cheng saw that Mu Yao was angry, and hurriedly came out to smooth things over. Okay, isn't it just a little bomb? Teacher Mu, don't be angry with a child." Mu Yunxi was unhappy when she heard Fang Cheng call her a child, but this time for some reason, she just glared at Fang Cheng and asked, "What little bomb?" "I'll tell you this later. Let's stay away from the bomb for now, because I don't know how powerful it is." Now everyone's attention is on the chaotic crowd. I don't know if Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong are still alive. Including the Jing'an guards, they are desperately trying to pull Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong out of the crowd, otherwise there will be no complete corpses. No one noticed Zhang Xiaoyu, including Shen Tujun and Su Yaqi. Now there is one last problem. Su Yaqi looked at Shen Tujun and said, "Are you talking about Zhang Xiaoyu?" Su Yaqi nodded. Shen Tujun only forced Zhu Guiying and Cao Jialong, but the source of the whole thing was here. If the truth were to be revealed to the world, the image that she had worked so hard to build would be ruined. By then, with the usual style of the Shen Tu family, would they let a tainted woman like her become the beastly mother of his son? After losing Shen Tujun, she would have to start all over again. When could she make Fang Cheng regret it? When could she make Fang Cheng crawl back like a dog and wag his tail and beg for mercy? At this time, Shen Tujun smiled slightly. "Didn't I say it? You can rest assured that I will do the job. I have thought about this a long time ago." Su Yaqi looked confused. Shen Tujun smiled slightly and whispered in her ear, "Do you remember that I left for a while before? Aren't you going to give Cao Jialong an enema?" "What enema?" This silly girl actually believed it. She is ignorant. In fact, after he learned the truth of the whole thing, Shen Tujun never thought of letting Zhang Xiaoyu live. He didn't want to lose a beast tamer like Su Yaqi, no, a beast girl who is both good at handling things and good at girls. Most importantly, he didn't want to let another person know his secret. After saying that, he took out a remote control and pressed it lightly in front of Su Yaqi, and then there was the scene where Zhang Xiaoyu came out and said she had a stomachache. "What is this?" Su Yaqi asked curiously. "This is a surprise from me for you." "What surprise?" "You will know it later, just watch the show first." Just as the two were watching with great interest, Zhang Xiaoyu's voice suddenly came from behind them. Shen Tu-jun, Zhang Xiaoyu. Oh my gosh. Shen Tu-jun was startled, and he really jumped up, and even turned in the air, which directly blocked Zhang Xiaoyu's next words in his throat. Suyaki looked confused. What's wrong? What scared you like this? Don't ask any more questions, just run. Shen Tu-jun still had some conscience, so he pulled Suyaki along to run. The two of them ran in front, and Zhang Xiaoyu chased them from behind. If one of you runs and the other chases you, you can't get away. Now Zhang Xiaoyu finally believed that Fang Cheng was right, and that this was indeed Shen Tu-jun's idea. Otherwise, why would he run when he saw me? Don't come over here. If you come over here again, I'll kill you. Shen Tu-jun was sweating all over his head at this time, and he was almost scared to death. If Shen Tu-jun ran outside the square, with his strength, Zhang Xiaoyu wouldn't even be able to see his taillights. But he ran into the crowd, thinking about killing a few Taoist friends. He was courting death. If you turn it off, I won't run with you. Zhang Xiaoyu was also running out of breath, but her strong desire to survive directly made her adrenaline soar, and she exerted extraordinary speed and endurance. Shen Tu-jun seemed to have thought of something, and quickly glanced at the remote control in his hand. This thing didn't have a detonation button at all, only a countdown, and there were less than 2 seconds left. Should I push Suyaki out to take the thunder? Just as he hesitated, Zhang Xiaoyu behind him exploded. The shock wave mixed with blood and meat sauce directly blew away all the people around, and Shen Tu-jun and Suyaki were the first to bear the brunt. Fang Cheng saw an explosion from afar because he took Mu Yunxi and Mu Yao away in advance. The big guys on the rostrum were all petrified, and the crowd that couldn't be pulled apart was finally quiet at this moment. Everyone couldn't help but secretly rejoice that they ran over to beat the scum. If they were still in the previous place, they would be skinned alive if they didn't die. What are you still standing there for? Save them quickly. Yu Jianming slammed the table anxiously on the stage. Fortunately, those who were blown up were beast masters and beast mothers, and they were all very powerful. If it were ordinary people, who knows how many would die. But even so, some beast masters and beast mothers were not doing well. Many of their bodies were blown to pieces, and they were all bone fragments, hitting their bodies like bullets. The lucky ones had their battle suits withstand it, and they were just hit by the shock wave. The unlucky ones, such as Suyaki and Shen Tu-jun, had battle suits but didn't wear them and insisted on showing off. Now, the backs of both of them were blown to pieces. At the same time, Cao Jialong and Zhu Guiying were beaten to death by the angry crowd, and they were no longer human. 3 people died before the competition even started. With such a big thing happening, today's competition can't be held, and the official decided to postpone it for 1 day. On the chairman's seat, Tang Li stared at Fang Cheng's back in a daze, while Wu Zhong looked at Cao Jialong and Zhu Guiying who were putting bodies into body bags below the stage, and sighed, "Alas, you will suffer for your own mistakes." Turning around, he saw his wife in a daze, and asked in confusion, "What's wrong? Do you feel? Never mind, I'll tell you later, let's go home first." In the car, Tang Li was concentrating on driving. Wu Zhong, who was sitting in the passenger seat, thought for a moment and asked, "Wife, what did you want to tell me just now?" Tang Li stopped the car on the side of the road, turned around and looked at Wu Zhong and said, "Old Wu, do you feel that Fang Cheng was the one who planned all this today? That guy planned it. He was crazy, planning someone to frame him. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about Cao Jialong and Zhu Guiying being beaten to death, Zhang Xiaoyu's self-explosion. Don't overthink it, I didn't see it. This is the cleverness of that kid. Let me put it this way, who do you think wants to kill those 3 people the most today?" Wu Zhong laughed and said, "Do you really think I'm stupid? It must be Fang Cheng." But even when the crowd was excited, he didn't say a single radical word. Everything he said was reasonable. "Yes, do you think that everyone is like you, going out without thinking, and just going up to fight people when something happens? Do you think the people on the stage today and the Jing'an guards around the square are just decorations?" According to his method, not only will no one suspect him, but he will also make the 3 people die in a more uglier way. To be honest, I really admire that boy. Not only is he brave and resourceful, but he also knows how to be patient. When he grows up, who can be his opponent? So, according to what you said, that kid really did it. Aren't you scared that he is so cunning at such a young age? As far as I know, the little guy was abandoned by his biological parents when he was young, and was raised by a woman named Auntie Lynn in the slums. As a result, Auntie Lynn left him because of her beast transformation. Being framed like today was a common occurrence in his previous life. So you suspect he's mentally twisted? Get lost. Have you ever seen a mentally twisted person who is as sunny as him? So you just said, Tang Li said unhappily. I mean that little guy, who has had a rough journey, must hate evil. Are you a bad person? Ah, have I always been a bad person in your heart? Then why are you afraid of that guy? Wu Zhong said disdainfully. Tisk, I'm afraid of him. If Zhou Zhanyang hadn't helped that guy today for my sake, do you think that guy still has a chance to turn the tables? Have you ever thought that the little guy had already thought of the breakthrough point from the beginning, Zhang Xiaoyu? Even without Zhou Zhanyang, he could still turn the tables with his eloquence. These are all your guesses, do you have any evidence? By the way, I haven't asked you yet, what kind of deal did you reach with Zhou Zhanyang? You dare to tell me, it's because of your face. Actually it's nothing, mainly because I have a lot of face, really don't do it, he took the initiative to find me, he didn't know where he got the news, and he also had the key evidence in his hands. So he found me and asked me to do him a favor. What help? It means restoring the boy's student status and allowing him to participate in the competition as a student. That's it, wife, you don't understand this. He is the director of Yucheng Education Department. If Fang Cheng can get a good ranking this time, it will be a great achievement for him, don't you know? With Fang Cheng's current strength, do you think it is possible for him to get a good ranking in the city youth competition? You don't understand this, right? Even if Fang Cheng doesn't get a good ranking, he will definitely attract a lot of attention with his ability. Moreover, he is participating in the competition as a student, which is also an opportunity for Zhou Zhanyang to show off. He has been in the position of director for many years and is almost going crazy wanting to be promoted. Do you think he will miss this opportunity? City Lord's Mansion. Old Zhou, wait a moment. Because of the vicious incident that happened in the square today, the leaders of various departments in Yucheng were called here for a meeting. After the meeting, Zhou Zhanyang, the director of the education department of Yucheng, was left alone by Yu Jianming. What's the matter, City Lord? Yu Jianming glanced at him, motioned him to sit down next to him, then took out a pack of cigarettes and gave one to Zhou Zhanyang. Zhou Zhanyang waved his hand quickly. I have already quit smoking. Before he understood why Yu Jianming wanted him to stay, he didn't dare to take the cigarette. Quit smoking, just smoke when I tell you to. There's no outsider here now. Zhou Zhanyang glanced around the conference room, then took the cigarette and said, Old Yu, if you have something to say, just tell me now. I won't feel at ease if you don't. After saying that, he took out a lighter and lit the cigarette for Yu Jianming. The two are old classmates, but Yu Jianming has a better career than him. He is now the lord of a city, while he is still a director. Yu Jianming exhaled a puff of smoke and said, Are you very happy now, kid? Old Yu, please don't talk nonsense. How can I be happy when such a big thing happens? The blame is mine, but you got caught in it. Are you unhappy? Lao Yu, we have known each other for so many years. Do you think I am the kind of person who sells out friends for fame? At first, I really didn't expect those two scumbags to be so cruel. If I had known earlier, I would definitely not have made this deal with Wu Zhang. What deal? It's nothing, I just want Fang Cheng to resume his student status and participate in the competition as a student. You are quite insightful this time. Zhou Zhanyang laughed. You think so too? Yu Jianming nodded. That boy is not simple, I just figured it out, whether it is the two scums who were beaten to death or the son of the Shintu family who was injured in the explosion, it was all planned by that boy. No way, can that guy be so cunning? Yu Jianming did not answer, but looked at him meaningfully, and said, keep pretending. Zhou Zhanyang was defeated and sighed, well, actually I just figured it out during the meeting. Don't look at me like that. That guy did it perfectly, and you just figured it out, too, didn't you? How much smarter can I be than you? Wasn't it you who gave that boy the idea? So you suspect that I taught him? How else? How old is he? Given his age, and the sudden incident, he was lucky enough not to be scared to death. How could he come up with such a thorough plan in such a short time? I swear, if I taught him this, I will never get promoted. Your oath is really too cruel, isn't it? It's not poisonous, you don't believe it. So, this kid. Zhou Zhanyang smiled and said, he's a talent, right? To be specially recruited by the Lingqi Guild, this talent and character are beyond words. His mind is also so meticulous. As long as nothing unexpected happens along the way, it's just a matter of time before he becomes a pillar of our dragon country. Yu Zhanyang nodded subconsciously. You kid is finally going to be successful this time. I'm testifying for him today, and this friendship is sealed. Zhou Zhanyang smiled and said, it's too early to say he's going to be successful now. After all, the kid is still young. Have you ever thought about introducing that guy to the military? Come on, I think it's better for him to stay in Lingqi Guild for now. Yu Jianming thought for a while, nodded and said, that's true, if jade is not polished, it will not be useful, and if it is not weathered, it will not be of great use. To be honest, what I am worried about is that it is easier to avoid an open attack than to guard against an arrow from the dark. Yu Jianming seemed to be frightened when he heard this, and he subconsciously looked around. Zhou Zhanyang smiled and said, what are you afraid of? Didn't you say there are no outsiders here? There are no outsiders, but there may be ears behind the walls. Ha! Zhou Zhanyang smiled coldly and answered the question irrelevantly. In this Tianyuan League, our Lone Wo's performance was not very good, do you know? There is nothing we can do about it. Our dragon country does not lack famous generals, but it lacks famous commanders. Since Zhuge Juniang failed to advance 30 years ago, the Zhuge family has not produced any decent talents since then. So what do you think of that kid Fang Cheng? How old is he? Are you comparing him to Zhuge Juniang? Zhou Zhanyang laughed and said, yes, how old is he? Oh, what a pity. Fang Cheng, who was sitting on the sofa surfing the internet, suddenly slapped his thigh and said, what's such a pity? Mu Yunxi sat next to Fang Cheng and asked curiously. Fang Cheng pointed at the holographic screen on the bracelet. Shen Tujun and Suyaki were not killed in the explosion. Don't you think it's a pity? The holographic screen was playing a report on the incident. In the published death list, there were only Cao Jialong, Zhu Guiying and Zhang Xiaoyu. Fang Cheng didn't see the names of Shen Tujun and Suyaki, which was really a pity. Mu Yunxi smiled slightly. It's a bit of a pity. Really, you think so too? Yes, is there any problem? Remember to work harder next time and don't let it slip through the net again. I do not know what you're talking about. I don't know, forget it. By the way, what kind of food do you like to eat? Fang Cheng looked at Mu Yunxi suspiciously. Why are you asking this? Didn't you say my mother only knows how to stew sea cucumber for you? I'm in a good mood today. Tell me what you want to eat and I'll cook it for you. I didn't realize you can cook. Anyway, Fang Cheng's eyes were full of disbelief. Didn't my mom tell you? I usually cook at home. Really, what's your specialty? Shredded pork with fish sauce, minced pork and eggplant, twice cooked pork, and fish with pine nuts, would you like to try it? Fang Cheng looked at her suspiciously. Has this girl changed her personality today? Why is she suddenly so nice to him? Are you sure you can do all of this without your mother's help? Just tell me if you want to try it or not. And if you miss this village, there will be no such shop anymore. Okay, do you want my help? No, just wait and eat. After saying that, Mu Yunxi happily ran to the kitchen, humming a song. When she went in, Mu Yao was chased out, looking back at her daughter in the kitchen from time to time, with a puzzled look on her face. Xiao Fang, what did you guys talk about outside just now? I haven't seen Xiao Shi so happy in a long time. Fang Cheng patted the sofa beside him and asked Teacher Mu to sit over first, then he lowered his voice and asked, can she really cook? Yes, I am usually busy, so she is the one who cooks at home. That's good, it looks like you'll have a treat in the future. Teacher Mu smiled and said, I've already stewed the sea cucumber for you, remember to drink it later. Teacher Mu, I am not saying anything bad about you, but you are the one who suffers if you nourish me every day like this. Teacher Mu said unconvincedly, you forgot that my beast form is the immortal green deer, and my physical fitness is better than yours. Don't forget, you are my beast mother, and as a beast tamer, I have 100% of the benefits of feeding you back. But you always fall asleep first. Fang Chengyi couldn't stand it anymore and immediately retorted, that's because I don't want to waste my time on pleasure. Really? Looking at Fang Cheng's unwillingness to admit defeat, Teacher Mu deliberately prolonged his tone. Isn't it? How about we give it a try and see who is afraid of whom? Teacher Mu winked and said with a smile, "Hey, Xiaoxi is still here." After a while, Mu Yunxi prepared a plate of shredded pork with fish flavor. She wanted to serve it to Fang Cheng to taste her cooking skills first, so that he wouldn't always doubt his cooking skills. But when she came out, she found that the guy and her mother were not there. A nasty mosquito happened to fall on the dining table and was slapped to death by her. Looking back at the green plants in the living room, there were water plates under the flower pots. It had been a long time since her mother changed the water for them, and they were all infested with mosquitoes. She had to cook now and her hands were busy, so she went to see if her mother was in the bedroom, wanting her to change the water in all the plates, but she came back just as she walked over. As she walked away, she said unhappily, "There are so many mosquitoes during the day, what about at night?" This time she was really angry. She returned to the kitchen with her cheeks puffed up like buns. She threw the spatula into the pot and didn't want to cook anymore. After a while, out of curiosity or something, she quietly lay at the kitchen door and looked towards her mother's bedroom for a while. A tiger mosquito flew from nowhere and buzzed in her ear again, and she slapped it to death in her palm. It's so annoying. I don't know whether I am annoyed by the mosquitoes or the sound. I rushed into the bathroom angrily and took a cold shower to calm myself down. The sunset slowly sank to the west, and the dreamy and gorgeous sunset stretched freely in the sky. Strands of golden, orange and red light shredded through the clear floor-to-ceiling windows and quietly projected into the living room. The wall seemed to have become a huge curtain, gently painted with the colorful colors of the sunset. The afterglow was reflected on the smooth metal floor, forming a series of shimmering phantoms, like a piece of fine flames dancing. Fang Cheng finally won this time. He appeared in the living room rubbing his waist. The fish-flavored pork shreds on the dining table had already cooled down. Maybe he was hungry. A plate of cold fish-flavored pork shreds, still covered with lard frost, also made his stomach growl. Are you here? Didn't you say you were going to cook 4 dishes? Why is there only 1? Fang Cheng ran to the kitchen and didn't see Mu Yunxi. He picked up a pair of chopsticks and turned on the rice cooker. The pot inside was cleaner than his face. That girl is really unreliable. He held his waist and sat down at the dining table again. In fact, his waist was fine because it recovered quickly. It was just that it was sore for a long time, and the sequelae were simply psychological. Through this incident, Fang Cheng found that too strong a recovery ability also has a disadvantage. Any kind of injury can recover by itself, and it is difficult to stimulate the body's self-protection mechanism. For example, if you practice iron sand palm and insert iron sand every day, your palms will form calluses, which become thick and thick. Although it looks like it is useless, your palms will become stronger. But if this happens to me, the skin injury will not recover in a few seconds, and thus the body's protection mechanism cannot be activated to make corresponding adjustments to the human body, and calluses will not form. In other words, she said that she had a lot of health but low defense, but the pain after being injured was really painful. This was nothing for her. At most she could contract a defensive beast girl in the future to increase her defense. Teacher Mu was miserable. Let's put it this way, she would be injured every time she tamed her. At first, Fang Cheng thought he was too reckless, but later he found out that every time was the first time for her. Fang Cheng even suspected that he had encountered a bug. Knowing her weakness, it was just a matter of hitting the right spot to KO her. Before he knew it, the plate of shredded pork with fish flavor had been licked cleaner by Fang Cheng than his face. At this moment, the bathroom door opened, and Fang Cheng just turned around and heard the door slam shut. Why are you in the living room? Mu Yunxi's voice came from the bathroom. Fang Cheng said with a puzzled look on his face, shouldn't I be in the living room? Where is my mother? She's taking a nap. Mu Yunxi frowned. Taking a nap? I don't believe you. Do you think I'm still a 3-year-old child? Mom, why am I sleeping in my own room again? You sleepwalked last night, kid. Are you okay? Fang Cheng walked to the bathroom and asked with concern. I'm fine, ask my mom to bring me some clean clothes. Don't you take a change of clothes with you when you take a shower? You care. Is this your attitude when asking people to do things for you? Mu Yunshi was speechless for a moment, took a deep breath and said, "Thank you for your help." That's more like it. Wait. Teacher Mu, who was awakened by Fang Cheng, was startled at first, then hurriedly ran to the dressing table, quickly combed her hair, and then ran to get clothes for Mu Yunshi. Fang Cheng looked at her panic and couldn't help laughing. When Teacher Mu saw Fang Cheng making fun of herself, her smart eyes rolled up slightly, revealing the whites of her eyes just right. As the saying goes, love is the secret recipe for eternal youth, making lovers young and energetic, full of enthusiasm and longing for life. Look at Teacher Mu, she is starting to learn to be playful. Then Teacher Mu pursed her lips and chuckled, "Why are you laughing? It's all your fault. I told you a long time ago, but you refused to live in a big villa with me. Now you know the disadvantages of a small house. There are only 3 of us living in the 3-story villa. Don't you think it's lonely? How can it be warmer here? Is it big? I don't think so. Besides, isn't my current mission to make you live a good life? If you become my beast girl and live here, what's the difference between that and whether I am here or not?" Mu Yao seemed to have caught the loophole in Fang Cheng's words and smiled, "But I remember someone once told me that his biggest dream was to win the Tianyuan League Championship for Longguo." "Yes, I said that, but I also said that if you are poor, you should take care of yourself, and if you are rich, you should help the world. To win the Tianyuan League Championship for Longguo is the dream of every man in Longguo, but it is still too far away for us now. Anyway, my current goal is to let you live a good life." Teacher Mu looked at Fang Cheng, his eyes gradually turned red, and he couldn't help but hold Fang Cheng's hand. He frowned slightly because of being moved, and his eyes became blurred and affectionate. Fang Cheng was stunned for a moment. "What's wrong?" "No, nothing." Teacher Mu lowered his head in embarrassment, then looked up at Fang Cheng and said, "Xiao Fang, why are you so nice to me?" Fang Cheng was stunned again. He was moved. Alas, how much suffering did you endure in the first 30 years of your life? Just a sentence of, "I want to let you live a good life," can move you like this. Fang Cheng smiled gently and stroked Teacher Mu's long hair. "Are you asking such a stupid question again? How many times have I answered you? You are my beast girl. If I don't treat you well, who else can I treat well? Do you want me to be nice to Suyaki? Humph, you dare. Isn't that right? Don't ask such stupid questions again. Can I call you dear from now on?" Fang Cheng laughed and said, "Are you stupid again? Why do you need to ask? Just call me if you want." "You are stupid. Have you forgotten that we have a contract? How can I call without your authorization?" Fang Cheng forgot about this. For a beastmaster, the power of the contract is usually not felt at all, because the highest contract does not require him to have any requirements. But as a beast mother, Teacher Mu is suppressed by the power of the law all the time. "Okay, I agree. Honey, can you call me Yao Yao? I shouldn't have mentioned Suyaki." Fang Cheng remembered that he only called Suyaki Yao Yao on the day he met her, but he didn't expect that she would keep thinking about him from then on. "Are you going to scream or not? Call me Yao Yao, that should be fine, right?" Teacher Mu smiled proudly and said, "Remember, when no one is around, call me Yao Yao instead of Teacher Mu." "Why do we have to wait until there is no one around? Can't we just call at other times?" "Because I'm shy. I've seen people calling my wife, in public, but have you ever seen anyone calling my wife by a nickname in public? It's not surprising, it must exist. Then don't you think that person is corny? The kind that is deliberately artificial." The intimacy between the two of them made them completely forget about Mu Yunshi in the bathroom. So the bathroom door was knocked again. "Hey, Fang Cheng, did you call me mom?" The two of them then remembered that Mu Yunshi was still locked in the bathroom. Fang Cheng frowned. "Hiss, Yao Yao, did you notice that there seems to be some ambiguity in her words? Does she want me to call her mom?" Mu Yao chuckled. "Stop thinking about it, I think there is ambiguity in your words." Teacher Mu came back after delivering the clothes, with a frown on his face, not knowing what he was thinking. "What's wrong, honey? That girl Xiaoxi actually got wet with her clothes on. Do you think she was hit by some kind of blow?" Shock. Fang Cheng smiled in his heart and said, "Hey, don't think too much, maybe you got your clothes wet accidentally." Last time when you were cleaning the bathroom, you accidentally hit the water valve and got all wet by the shower. Teacher Mew nodded and said, by the way, dear, you must be hungry. I'll go cook for you. That's great. If I rely on Xiaoxi, I might starve to death and no one would know. Teacher Mew smiled and said, don't worry, dear. I promise I won't let you go hungry in the future. Do you need help? No, just sit there and wait for the food. Mu Yunxi finally came out of the bathroom. When she saw Fang Cheng, her eyes subconsciously dodged. But after thinking, I did nothing wrong, why should I be afraid of him? So she looked over openly again. Just looking was not a good thing, she had to find something to say. So she saw the empty plate on the table. Where is my fried shredded pork with fish flavor? Fang Cheng said, eat it. I would have starved to death while waiting for you to cook. Humph, he walked over and picked up the plate. You eat so cleanly, did you eat it? Nonsense. Is it delicious? Mu Yunxi smiled slightly. She had never smiled at a man before. This was her first time, so her smile looked a little restrained and shy. In Fang Cheng's eyes, her words just now combined with her current expression, seemed to be asking, is Delang's medicine delicious? Fang Cheng was shocked. You didn't put rat poison in it, did you? You are the one who put the rat poison. This made her, who had just thought Fang Cheng was good, suddenly realize that she must have thought too much. So why do you ask? Can't I just ask? Fang Cheng looked at her suspiciously and said, it tastes good. Really? Hearing Fang Cheng say it was delicious, Mu Yunxi felt inexplicably happy. Can you please stop talking to me like that? It feels weird. What's strange? Weird. Humph, you don't know what's good for you. If you stay with this guy, you will definitely be pissed off by him. Her rosy cheeks puffed up slightly, her white teeth bit her rosy lower lip lightly, her brows slightly wrinkled, her eyes sparkling, revealing a hint of stubbornness and a hint of anger that made people unable to hate her. Then she stomped her feet, and it looked like she was going back to her room, but she turned around and went to the kitchen again. She really didn't want to cook any more of Fang Cheng's specialties, but it was her first time cooking for that boy, so she had to finish it. The city youth competition has started again, and the square in front of the portal is still as lively as ever. It seems that everyone has forgotten what happened yesterday. This is good, so that I don't get missed. Fang Cheng, look over there. Shen Tujun and Su Yaqi were injured in the explosion yesterday. I estimated that they would have to stay in bed for at least a month. How come they recovered in one night? Fang Cheng looked in the direction of Mu Yunxi's finger. It was true. The two of them were wearing a set of black couple's uniforms, and their expressions were solemn as if they were attending a memorial service. I don't know, maybe my family is rich. You were right, kid. Last night, the Shintu family paid a high price to hire an S-level medical practitioner from the Shinchi Guild. The sudden voice startled Fang Cheng and the other two. They turned around and saw a little old man with a Mediterranean look, smiling at them. Fang Cheng said, old man, you are from another place, right? You must be under 25 years old to participate in the city youth competition. You are late. Mu Yunxi quickly pulled Fang Cheng and whispered in his ear, what nonsense are you talking about? He is Zhou Zhanyang, the director of our Yucheng Education Department. He helped you yesterday. Did you forget about him today? This really wronged Fang Cheng. He had not forgotten this old man. He pretended not to know him because this old man was not honest. Because in Fang Cheng's mind, he was the one who deleted the surveillance video. Of course, Zhu Guiying could also be the one, but the time didn't match. Sister Tang went to check the surveillance video the next day. According to her, no one had been to the surveillance room before her. But the surveillance video disappeared that day, and the only place that could check the surveillance video without entering the school's surveillance room was the education department. Why did this old man do this? If he wanted to harm me, he would not have testified for me at the meeting yesterday. The premise of his testifying for me was that he reached an agreement with Lao Wu, that is, he would participate in this city youth competition as a student. No wonder the guild only sent me to participate in the competition this time. It felt like it was all caused by this old man. If it weren't for the fact that he testified for me yesterday, Fang Cheng wouldn't even want to pay attention to him now. Following the principle of seeing through but not saying anything, Fang Cheng slapped his head and said, oh, look at my memory, I actually forgot. Fang Cheng acted ashamed and said to Zhou Zhanyang, I'm really sorry, Director Zhou, you look much more handsome today than you did yesterday on the podium. Thank you so much for yesterday. If you hadn't testified for me, I would have been finished. Zhou Zhanyang frowned and drooped his eyes, as if to say, do you have to be so fake with your acting skills? Forget it, I won't bother with this kid. I think with his wisdom, he must have guessed that he was the one who did something unkind. Did the Lingqi Guild tell you everything? What did you say? Fang Cheng asked knowingly. No way, didn't that kid Lao Wu tell you to represent No. 11 middle school in the competition? That's what I said, but I didn't agree. Huh, how can that guy be so unreliable? Zhou Zhanyang stamped his feet in anger. When Wu Zhang promised him, he patted his chest to make a promise. The competition was about to start, but he failed to deliver. Fang Cheng smiled and said, but Sister Xiao Tang told me that I promised. Huh, Zhou Zhanyang looked at Fang Cheng in surprise, knowing that he had just been tricked by this guy. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. Zhou Zhanyang wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, I came here today mainly because I'm worried that you're too young and don't know how dangerous people are. Yesterday, Shen Tuao not only paid a high price to hire an S-level medical doctor for his son, but also spent a lot of money to hire a group of mercenaries under the age of 25 for his son. Mercenary. That's right, if you've been to the D-level dungeon and seen the watchtower, you should have seen those people. Fang Cheng nodded. I don't think I've ever offended Shen Tujun, is there any need to make such a big fuss, even hiring mercenaries to deal with me? Zhou Zhanyang sighed. So I said you are too young. For some people, there is no need for a reason to do certain things, as long as they think you are wrong, then you are right and wrong. I see, that means they can kill me in there. Rules are dead, people are alive, so, at this point, Zhou Zhanyang shook his hand, and a diamond-shaped object appeared in his hand. He handed it to Fang Chengdao. This is an emergency teleporter. It can passively teleport you 3 times when your life is on the line. You mean, using this thing is cheating? That's not the case. The main reason is that this is a military product and is prohibited for civilian use. What's the difference? This, Zhou Zhanyang scratched his ear and said, the civilian version of the emergency transporter can only transport. The one I gave you can be used when the transport fails, or when you actively turn off the transport function. Once the passive transport is triggered, it will not activate the transport, but 3 space blades, which can cut everything within a radius of 50 meters, including yourself, in half. After speaking, he stared at Fang Cheng seriously, as if he didn't want to miss any subtle changes on his face. Fang Cheng just thought about it, and naturally took the emergency transporter. Thank you. Zhou Zhanyang smiled slightly. You're welcome, remember the 50-meter radius. Fang Cheng nodded. To put it bluntly, this is an alien version of Fengtianchengren, or a bomb vest. He gave himself such a dangerous thing as a test for himself. Of course, this test has just begun. Not long after Zhou Zhanyang left, Sister Xiaotang and Wu Zhang came again. Little brother, you were hiding here, and I had a hard time finding you. Looking at Sister Tang who looked resentful, Fang Cheng said helplessly, Sister Tang, it's not appropriate for you to tease me like this in front of Brother Wu, right? Tang Li glanced at Wu Zhang and smiled at Fang Cheng. What's wrong with him? No way, are you afraid of him? No, I want to wait until Brother Wu is not around. If you say that, I will feel better. Will it? Of course, don't you think it's exciting to tease another person behind Brother Wu's back? You dare to tease me. After saying that, Tang Li raised her leg and kicked, but she didn't really kick. Otherwise, with her strength, she would have kicked Fang Cheng accurately and he would not be able to dodge at all. Seeing that Tang Li missed, Fang Cheng smiled and said, didn't you tease me first? I'm your sister, it's my normal right to tease you. At this time Wu Zhang couldn't stand it anymore, and quickly stood up and said, okay, let's talk about business. Tang Li snorted, indicating that I don't care, you can say it yourself. Wu Zhang had to say, that little brother Fang, do you still remember the harsh words that Hao Feizheng and Zuo Shaolin said to you last time? Fang Cheng nodded. Remember, this time they are going to organize a group of people to do me in there. It's not one group, it's 2 groups. They have 1 group each. But don't worry, they are not that strong. After all, the age limit for participating is there. Don't be too afraid of them. Tang Li was unhappy when he heard this. He pulled Wu Zhang away and said, "What do you mean they are not that strong? Even if the age limit for participating is there, how old is Xiaofeng this year? How long has he been a beastmaster? How long have they been beastmasters? They are clearly bullying the weak." I'm not trying to comfort this, is it you? Tang Li was too lazy to pay attention to him. Fang Cheng said, "They came well prepared this time. I can't say that all of them are C level, but at least there will be no one lower than D level, so you must be careful." Fang Cheng couldn't help but complain in his heart after hearing this, "Be careful and you let me go alone. How about finding me some helpers? I heard that the city youth competition is all about team battles." Tang Li and Wu Zhang looked embarrassed, and Wu Zhang stammered, this. Tang Li thought quickly and said, "The competition is about to start. It's too late to call for help, right? But don't worry, we won't watch you suffer in vain." After that, he took out a small pyramid-like object and handed it to Fang Chengdao. "I'll give you a barrier generator. If you activate it at a critical moment, it can help you release a particle shield. Even an A-level Beastmaster and Beast Woman can't do anything to you." Fang Cheng smiled and took the barrier generator. "Thank you, Sister Tang. Don't be too happy too soon, kid. The particle shield can only help you for an hour at most, so once you activate it, call for help immediately. As long as you decide to withdraw from the competition, the protection mechanism of the competition venue will immediately send you out of the competition venue." "Can it be used repeatedly?" Tang Li looked at Fang Cheng in confusion, not knowing what this kid was up to, but nodded and said, "Yes, you can, but you can only use it 3 times at most, and the third time, the shield's opening time and defense power will be halved. 3 times is enough for me. What do you want to do? I warn you, this is for your life, don't mess with it." As the huge space gate in the square opened, the players entered the stadium one by one. On the other side of the space gate is a small town. The town's buildings are unique in style, some look like crystal prisms, and some look like spiral shells. Strange plants grow on both sides of the street, their branches are like flowing metal, the leaves reflect the faint light, and the sound they make when the wind blows is no different from that of ordinary plants. In the square in the center of the town, there is also a huge fountain, but it does not spray water, but a stream of glittering particles, interweaving dreamy patterns in the air. If it were not for the traffic lights at the intersection, Fang Cheng would have thought he had come to an alien battlefield. Is this the Tianyuan world? Mu Yunxi looked around curiously. Although she had heard that after the advent of the Tianyuan world, many fragments of the Tianyuan world were preserved relatively intact. Some small fragments can be easily controlled and become copies. In fact, every refresh of the copy is a time travel. There are also some large fragments that cannot be controlled, like the town in front of her, which is called the Adventure Secret Realm. In such a secret realm, you can see the civilization of the Tianyuan world. Xiao Feng heard that here, you can also see the natives of the Tianyuan world, is it true? Fang Cheng smiled slightly, there should be no in this town. The strategy of the Dragon Kingdom to deal with the Tianyuan alien race is different from those countries in the West Coast Alliance, which implement genocide. The Dragon Kingdom is to win over a group, suppress a group, and eliminate a group. Those who have a sense of identity with the Dragon Kingdom will be won over and suppressed. For those who are stubborn and try to occupy the Dragon Kingdom, they will be resolutely eliminated. That's why Mu Yao was curious whether she could see the legendary Tianyuan natives, the spirits, here. It is worth mentioning that the boss of the West Coast Alliance, the West Coast Federation, has a subordinate country called the Plaster Kingdom. On the surface, it is promoting the assimilation plan of the Dragon Kingdom, but secretly it is still implementing the genocide plan, and in addition to the two, it has also ingeniously proposed a gene fusion plan. They have set their sights on the Tianyuan alien beasts. It is said that since their great Prime Minister, Maurjin Anujiro, proposed this plan 300 years ago, it has been stuck in the plant isolation until now. Okay, let's find a place to stay first. Fang Cheng, shouldn't we go out and earn points first? Mu Yunxi pointed to the crowds outside the square. There was a competition query terminal there, where you could check nearby maps and score rankings. In short, you could find everything related to the competition. And this time, the City Youth Competition adopted a points system, with rankings based on points. The closer the area is to the town, the lower the level of the exotic beast, and the lower the points earned from hunting, and vice versa. In addition to hunting exotic beasts, points can also be earned by collecting Tianyuan materials. Fang Cheng took a look at the crowd. Most of them were students like Mu Yunxi who had just come out of the training camp. With F-level strength, they could only wander around this small town. I won't go, Fang Cheng said firmly. Why? Mu Yunxi looked puzzled. Do you want to sleep on the street at night? What does that matter? It doesn't matter. Then you can sleep on the street. Your mother and I will sleep in a hotel. After that, he held Teacher Mu's waist and said, let's go, Teacher Mu. No, that's not what I meant. What I meant is, what does collecting points now have to do with sleeping on the street at night? Fang Cheng was too lazy to pay attention to her. Teacher Mu smiled slightly, turned around and said to Mu Yunxi, okay, stop making trouble, Xiaoxi. Xiao Fang must have his reasons for doing this. Fang Cheng was sighing at the waist under his palm. It was really thin and smooth, making people want to slide down and slap her hard on that tight and well-shaped big ass. The three of them asked several hotels in a row, only to find that they were all full. Now Mu Xiaoxi finally understood why Fang Cheng said he wanted to sleep on the street at night. While she felt a little guilty, she couldn't help but feel a little confused. Fang Cheng, how come all the hotels are full so quickly? Don't these people go to earn points? Fang Cheng smiled and said, is it strange? Isn't it strange? That's because you haven't participated in the competition yet. You will have experience next time. It makes you look like you have participated in a competition before. Fang Cheng laughed and said, your mother and I have participated in a rookie competition before. So what? Then I understood a truth. Everyone likes to get something for nothing. What's the meaning? You'll know in 2 days. Now we have to find a place to live. Fang Cheng tapped on the bracelet, and a map appeared in front of him. This was the full map of the 1,331 square kilometers of the competition venue, which was more detailed and comprehensive than the regional map on the square terminal. Then he zoomed in to find the town in front of him, and then he heard Mu Yunxi ask in confusion, is this a map of the venue? Where did you get it? Is this considered cheating? The guild gave it to me. As for the cheating you mentioned, believe it or not, there are such maps in the arena, and I am definitely not the only one. But according to the competition rules, you are cheating, right? So what? If others can cheat, why can't I? But you, stop talking, hurry up and find a place to stay, otherwise you will have to sleep on the street tonight. Mu Yunxi reference map. Fang Cheng put away the map, took the mother and daughter out of the street, walked into the nearby fire road, and turned around and came to a 2-story building. The sign at the door read, Lingqi Guild B1-1 District Service Station. Are you Fang Cheng? Fang Cheng and the other two had just arrived at the door and looked inside. A young lady in combat uniform came out to greet them. Fang Cheng nodded and looked at the young lady in front of him. If he had looked at her from his previous perspective, she would have been pretty good looking, but now that she had Teacher Mu, she was just so-so. My name is He Yun, and I'm the liaison officer of this service station. Sister Tang has told me to treat you well if you come. What if I didn't come? He Yun smiled and said, Sister Xiao Tang said that if you didn't come, then forget it. Forget it. Well, that's in line with her style. Come in, the room is ready for you. Yucheng Lingqi Guild. Wu Zhong rushed over to Tang Li and said, my wife just got the news that the boy has moved into the service station. Really? He Yun just sent a message. You said before that it was good enough that the boy could remember it at night when he was sleeping on the street. Didn't expect it. The first thing the boy did when he arrived at the stadium was to find a place to stay. Isn't he a new guy? How did he know all this? Tell me the truth, did you remind him? God have mercy on me. We agreed to teach that kid a lesson. How could I possibly tell him this? By the way, do you want to change the time you expect him to withdraw? What's there to change? 2 days at most, no, 5 days. On the 5th day, he will definitely come out. Wu Zhong smiled and said, then let's wait and see. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Tang Li would open the city youth competition rankings every afternoon and take a look. Today, she suddenly slammed the table and said to Wu Zhong, Old Wu, what's going on with Fang Cheng? Today is the 2nd day, why is his score still 0? Wu Zhang, who was standing in front of the window basking in the sunset, smiled and said, "This shows that the kid has not left the town since the start of the competition. Never been out of town. What on earth does that guy want to do? Just plan to stay here until the game is over, and travel at his own expense." Yucheng City Lord's mansion. A tall secretary in an OL uniform pushed open the door of Yu Jianming's office. "City Lord, Director Zhou from the Education Department wants to see you." Yu Jianming, who was stamping, was stunned for a moment. Why did that old guy come to see me? Let him in. After a while, Zhou Zhanyang, led by the female secretary, came to Yu Jianming's office. He first thanked the female secretary politely, and when the door closed, he turned around and changed his expression. "I say, old Yu, has something happened to Fang Cheng?" Yu Jianming looked at Zhou Zhanyang, who was in a hurry, and he was angry and amused. "What's the meaning? It's been 2 days and there's no movement in that kid's points. Could he be dead? Wasn't that the dark horse you were looking for? Killed so easily? I can only blame myself for being too arrogant. I knew so many people wanted to kill him, but I still asked him to die." Yu Jianming cleared his throat and said, "We are familiar with each other, but if you dare to question the official safety mechanism, I will sue you for defamation. Stop talking nonsense here. Your so-called safety mechanism is useless, not to mention the Shenqi Guild and the Shuangguang Guild. Even for the 8th young master of the Shentu family, it is bullshit." Did I say something wrong?" Yu Jianming said unhappily. "What on earth do you want to do by coming to my place today?" "Actually, it's nothing. I just want to use your power to see if that guy is dead or alive." "Won't you watch the live events yourself? If he was in the live broadcast, I wouldn't come to you." "You're against the rules." "Okay, Yu Jianming, you actually told me the rules. Do you still remember who accompanied you to find a house when you rented it for the first time? Do you still remember who ate the first takeaway you ordered? Do you still remember who pulled you out of the fire pit when you were worried about the 300,000 yuan betrothal gift?" Yu Jianming frowned and said, okay, I won't do it again next time. And keep your big mouth shut and don't tell anyone about it." "That's right." Zhou Zhanyang smiled and leaned over. He saw Yu Jianming tap on the bracelet a few times. After completing the identity authentication, a holographic screen appeared in front of the desk. Each contestant has a number plate, which is usually responsible for recording the contestant's points. It can also save lives at critical moments and send the contestant to a nearby safe area. However, once this function is activated, the contestant will be considered eliminated. At the same time, it is also a tracker for each contestant. Through the ID on the number plate, Yu Jianming easily found Fang Cheng. At this time, Fang Cheng was shopping with Mu Yao and Mu Yunxi. To be more precise, they had just come out of the bar. The two beauties beside him had rosy faces and looked like they had drunk a lot. Is this kid here for competition or travel?" Zhou Zhanyang looked at Fang Chengdao in confusion. Yu Jianming laughed. "How should I know? Now you can see that he is having a great time traveling with his beautiful girlfriend. You can rest assured. If Zhou Zhanyang had known Fang Cheng was like this, he would not have come to see him. B1-1 District Town. Fang Cheng, when are we going to go out of the city to earn points? Let's talk about it after your mother and I upgrade. How long do you have to wait for the upgrade? It's almost done, we should be able to upgrade tonight." Mu Yunxi was stunned for a moment, then looked at Fang Cheng with a complicated expression. "You mean, you have been improving the taming value these days? Is there any problem?" Mu Yunxi looked at Fang Cheng in surprise, then looked at her mother, and saw her mother lowered her head shyly. Even the game was not quiet. Fang Cheng was really a beast. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Fang Cheng looked puzzled. "It's nothing, I just think that you are definitely the most diligent beastmaster I have ever seen." "Haha, you're so flattering." Seeing Fang Cheng's shameless look, Mu Yunxi was furious. "Upgrading doesn't instantly improve your strength, so what's the point of just thinking about upgrading? Respect Luoshan first and then respect others. Although the upgrade cannot instantly increase the strength of your mother and me, it will save face." "Just for this," Fang Cheng laughed and said, "What's that expression on your face?" "I'm telling you it's very useful. Anyway, you'll know in 2 days. Anyway, when are you going out to hunt?" You don't really want to stay here until the end of the game, do you? Fang Cheng pointed to the surroundings and said, look carefully. What are you looking at? Take a closer look at who has gone out hunting recently. Teacher Mu also subconsciously looked up and glanced around. When Mu Yunxi looked puzzled, she continued Fang Cheng's words. Xiao Fang, do you mean that all the people who went out hunting recently are students? My teacher Mu is really smart. It's true that the people who go out hunting now are all students, and none of the experienced contestants have gone out. Mu Yunxi said. It's been 2 days, aren't they anxious? Anxious. Fang Cheng chuckled. There is still more than a week left, why are they in such a hurry? Teacher Mu said. I think I understand. The strange beasts around the town are all F-level strange beasts. Killing 1 will give you 1 point, and killing 10 will only give you 10 points. But there are many of them, and if you kill them one by one, it will be a waste of time for people with high levels. It is better to wait for the students to clear all the strange beasts around, and then snatch the points directly from them. Fang Cheng smiled slightly. I said, if we talk about smartness, it has to be my teacher Mu. Hearing Fang Cheng's words, teacher Mu was stunned at first, then a shy smile flashed across her eyes. The corners of her mouth rose unconsciously, and she naturally took Fang Cheng's hand and said, you only know how to make fun of me. Fang Cheng covered her hand and said, how can I make fun of you? What I said is true. Mu Yunxi stood there quietly, watching her mother and Fang Cheng's sweet appearance. Her eyes gradually dimmed, her lips unconsciously pouted slightly, as if she had an unrelieved sorrow. Then she folded her hands in front of her chest, and said angrily and helplessly, Humph, that's enough, where are we going now? We have almost visited all over this town. Sisters. At this time, in a forest outside the city, a group of students were surrounded by 3 E-level beastmasters and beast girls. The students huddled together, their faces full of fear and helplessness, tears welling up in their eyes. Their leader, who usually acted like a big shot, spoke on behalf of the students. When he spoke in a standard official tone, people who didn't know him would think he was the big leader. Of course, his strength was also the strongest among these people. But in front of these people, he didn't even have a chance to surrender, and was knocked to the ground by these guys in front of him. Looking at the leader whose life or death was unknown, the students felt sad. It's over, the points can't be kept, why are we so unlucky? A girl who didn't know whether to live or die said in a crying voice, our points are all earned by us with great difficulty, why should we give them to you? That's right. After 2 days of waiting, someone finally couldn't wait any longer and came out to grab the points. Before the girl could react, she was slapped in the face and a row of her teeth were knocked out. She lay on the ground coughing non-stop, spitting teeth and blood all over the floor. None of the boys behind her dared to help, and they didn't even dare to breathe. The attacker glanced at the group of cowards and said angrily, Humph, a bunch of poor wretch, your miserable appearance really makes me happy. At this time, another person shouted impatiently, don't dawdle. Hand over the points quickly. Otherwise, I will let you all die here today. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.